are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. I hope you're hearing me well. I'm actually just pulling up my volume right now. So I hope it's okay. I hope you let me know if I'm too loud or I'm too soft. I'm not using my mic at the moment, so I cannot tell. I'm just using my headsets. Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. I actually was outside about to do this podcast outside, but then it started to sprinkle and I had to run back in on the inside. So I'm doing it on the inside because it's about to rain in New York. So, welcome to Facts and Two Sets. As you know, we're a channel that supports the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, Mama Doria, Poola Guy, the chickens, and all of us here at Sussex Squad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, my friends. I have not spoken to you guys live in like 2 weeks. And so I miss you all so much. I have been a little bit crazy doing like three different jobs. Um, including theater, including working on a short film, and also starting to teach, this is the end of the first week of teaching, and I've been a little overwhelmed to say the least. So I've been trying to post little videos here and there, and to just say hi and to touch base, but we haven't chatted like this in a while, and so I was just like, it's again first day in like a week just to be able to get outside and sit for a minute, and then it started to sprinkle. Then I had to run back at the inside. So I just want to chat with you because you guys probably know more about what's going on in the Sussex world than I do, because I've been sort of trying to peek in and out. But our faves, it looks like they have been nice and quiet and doing whatever they're doing under their tree in Montecito. So, but before we get into anything, I'm just gonna say hi to my awesome friends in the chat. Hello, Church Nelly, long time no speak. Um, and hello to all of you in South Carolina, all of our wonderful squaddies. How are you guys? How are you feeling, Church Nelly? Hope you're good and giving us all the thumbs up. So I'm assuming all is well in South Carolina. Hello, hello. And I got, yes, I see your pink waving hands. It literally comes up as pink waving hands. I always laugh at that. But guys, hello, Kenita's here. Hello, Kenita, and Dolores, and our awesome moderator Karen M is here. Hello, Mama Jane is here. Hi, Mama Jane, and Claudia and Rochelle is here. Hello, guys. See, Dolores, I got you, and Joyce and Internet. Hello, guys. I missed you all so much. Sonia. And who else is here in the chat? Mary's here. I think I said Claudia before. And Bright Eyes BBJ. Oh, hello, Bright Eyes. I don't think I've seen you in a while, so I'm happy to see you, Bright Eyes. And so anyone else, and including 108 of our favorite people who are hanging out with us, may not necessarily be in the chat, and anyone else who joins us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I see you there, Emma Day. Hi, guys. As I said, you guys know more about what's going on in the royal world than probably I do. So I'm going to let you get me up to speed about what's happening. Hey, Leslie, I see you there. How are you, my friend? My legal friend who has all the juice on Harry's legal goings on or at least what went on in in the UK with Harry's court cases. So Leslie has been keeping us abreast of all of that wonderful stuff. And I mean, I don't know that you necessarily call it wonderful, but at least for Harry, that he's getting, his case out there. He's getting people to hear. He's making an argument about what happened to him and what they did to him, and people are listening. So it's wonderful. And we know that Harry's big goal is press reform. So that is something that is out there. So and gosh, I mean, so many people are have been affected by this, and many of them are too afraid or to say anything. Some of them just they want to say something, but they don't have the money to either bring charges or anything like that. So Harry is speaking for so many people who just don't have maybe the means, the resources, or the courage to speak for themselves. So him and for the mirror case, like about 100 people that are on that claim. And so all of those brave men and women who are speaking out, thank you. I mean, I know Harry is like the most high profile of them, but it's not just him. It's about 100 different people in that one case against the mirror. And then we think of the others that are against, who are joining Harry and team on the case against the Sun, and also the Daily Mail and their different outlets that are part of their companies. So thank you to all of those brave men and women who are able to, who have the means and the courage to be able to speak out. For those who cannot speak up for themselves. So yeah, it's a really a great. So thank you, Leslie F, for definitely keeping us abreast as to all the things that's going on. I see Little Mac has joined us. Hello, Little Mac. Who else? Oh, Fire is here. Hello, Fire. 22 Lobby. Hello, Rochelle. Hi. um, so off again, going back to our faves, they are doing well and I love the fact that they are at the place where they don't feel the need to say anything. They don't feel the need to respond to anything. And there's such power in that. There is such power in not, going about living your life, doing the things you want to do, no matter what people say. And you don't feel the need to correct anyone. You don't feel the need to, um, you know, uh, you know, I mean, there are times when you need to speak up and be like, okay, that's enough. I will not tolerate this. But I think the Sussexes are at a place where they know this is summer, and they didn't call summertime with the tabloids silly season, or I could say idiot season, for nothing, because they just make up stuff and just make up any stupid stuff because they don't have any real news about anything. So they just make up stuff and throw it out there in hopes that the people that they're targeting would respond to give them something else to talk about, because then they could spend a whole week talking about the response. And then they throw out something else, and then hopefully the person respond, and then they get a whole week of talk. That's what they do. And so I'm so happy that the Sussexes are just living their life and not responding to any of the nonsense that's out there. Some of the things that's out there, was, and I don't even think, because I haven't been on here since, I don't think I've been on here since it was out, that lying reporter that we would not even name, the one that came up with the bullying charges again, apparently is adding to his book. And when your own people, in terms of your own supporters, calling your book boring, you have issues. It's like, how you write a whole book, about, with just sources. And in the world of Spare, where Harry named people, a book of on sources is just not going to sell, as we could see with all of those books that they were trying to rush out before Spare came out, and then we've been rushing out since Spare has come out. None of them has done very well at all in any sense of the word. Many of them never even, was on anybody's radar. And one of the things I'm so proud of us as a squad is that we have let their book, completely ignore them and let their books die. And it's just one of those things to watch, because before they would put out these books and the squad would go after them, and they thrived on us creating, attacking them or going after them and calling them out. And they thrived on, Sussex squad going after the derangers, or those crazy trolls, those royal trolls on Twitter. They thrived in that stuff. Royal reporters thrived in that. So they all were putting out book and making a mint, and they were, collecting a mint on that stuff. And so they were all expecting that the squad will go after them, and they create all this drama online, and they could profit off that. And the squad has let them all fail, let them all die, literally. We refused, the majority of us refused to, put their book on the market and let them all die. And they've all, one after the other, been just dying. And so it's really fun and really exciting to watch them just die. And so they are still trying to profit off that by adding chapters and all of this stuff and trying to make news. And, you know, including, I had to laugh. I mean, I saw the nonsense recollection may vary nonsense the other day, and I had to crack out laughing because I'm like, so I guess with the recollections may vary. So now we have recollections may vary about who actually coined recollections may vary and who decided it's going to stay recollections may vary. So now recollections may vary in that way too. And I was just like, the silliness of, I mean, the silliness of the whole thing, you know. And we've seen that nonsense with so many different things that, you know, they would put out a narrative because before it was the queen, it came from the queen. And so when all of it, you know, when Oprah happened, it was the queen, and everybody was like, yeah, the queen is amazing because, you know, she came up with this recollections may vary, and everybody gave credit to the queen. And then the queen dies, and then it became someone of their other you know, one of her assistants or one of her private secretaries or whatever. It became like, oh well, it was said that it was the queen that did that, but it what, and now it became somebody else's. It became possibly, they don't even know yet, you know, possibly somebody else's. And now it becomes Kate who decided that that's was the one that's going to, you know, stay in the statement. And it's so don't, you know, don't be surprised when in a few months they need that same quote for another narrative that they're putting out, that then all of a sudden it becomes William deciding it to be, because that's how they do it. And they're so used to nobody calling them out or nobody realizing the nonsense that they do the same pattern over and over and over again. You see this stuff with, you know, that whole quote with Harry's quote of, you know, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. You know, and people think that, you know, Harry literally said that, but a lot of people didn't realize that that quote came, it was around years and years ago. I think it started with, I think it was Prince Philip's. You know, they wanted to sort of brand him difficult. So it became what Philip wants, Philip gets. And then I think they went to, I think I want to say it went to Camilla, what Camilla wanted, Camilla gets. And then they used it with William. I guess William was being difficult about something. Then it became what William wants, William gets. And then they needed the same quote for another for claiming Megan is difficult. So it became what Megan wants, Megan gets. Same pattern. Same pattern. These, you know, again, these lazy reporters, this is kind of what they do with these quotes. And again, nobody literally said any of those things. A reporter coined it and then assigned it to something, to someone. And then, you know, as the laziness go on, a different reporter would use it for someone else. And then all of a sudden it becomes about that person. And so it just and again, if it wasn't for squaddies, and you know, squaddies, we are, you know, again, better at pulling receipts than the FBI and the CIA and all of them pulled together. If it wasn't for squaddies and our investigative skills, we wouldn't have realized this nonsense. So it is just really, it's really really funny to see how all, you know, how what they do and what they do with these quotes. And again, you know, if you're not up and you know, really paying attention to what they do, they get away with all of this stuff. But again, squatties will pull it, and then, you know, now they're realizing like, oh, there are people that are actually call them out on this nonsense. You know, there are other things that happen, even the Jeremy Clarkson stuff that happened with the IPSO, and you know, like the Sussexes have said nothing. Again, they have not responded to any of this at all, which is, you know, which is like, you know, it's, we've talked about how ridiculous it is, even though the two organizations that apart from the 25,000 people who complained, the two organizations whose appeal that the IPSO upheld, you know, they were celebrating this so-called victory. And you're like, when you look at what, you know, the fine prints of what this actually is, it's no victory at all. It's just the IPSO bailing and failing women in every single way, shape, and form, and proving that they're once again useless. And so, when you have to celebrate something like that, it tells you w- that the floor is basically where they are with press reform or press regulations, or anybody, any kind of watchdog overseeing the standard of the press in the UK. When you celebrate something and that looks like a victory to you, then the standard is the floor. So it's very sad to see that's what they're celebrating. But again, that's what they're celebrating. What else is happening? We had the whole thing with Rupert Murdoch. It's like, the Sussexes are a failure. And then it's like, not according to the evidence, no, unless you are really, really, really clueless. The evidence prove absolutely the opposite. And we talked about, Rupert Murdoch is especially his talk TV that is actually failing, and they're once again projecting their failures onto the successes. The royal family's nonsense is failing. Their coronation was a bore, especially the one in Scotland was an absolute bore. And so even their press is not even reporting on it. And obviously we saw the protest. At least the protest was actually the bigger news. And so it's so a lot of stuff is happening, and it's great to see the Sussexes respond to none of it. They are living their life. They are not focused on it. I mean, even we saw a couple of days ago, two white supremacist podcasters. British people are I am like, yeah, again, in a lot of ways. I mean, you would see this kind of behavior in Florida, and I always, for me, the UK is the Florida of Europe, and that's for me because the behavior is the same. You see this kind of nonsense that whenever I put "because Florida" on Twitter, is because it's the same behavior. These two white supremacist podcasts felt like if they put their white supremacist beliefs on a podcast and put it out there, that means that they are just advocating for free speech, and nobody would hold them accountable. And of course, we know that now they're found guilty, and they're going to be sentenced in September for their racist comments and really dangerous and inciting hate against Archie. And so I'm like, what do you mean if you put that out there, you don't expect to be held accountable? That's Florida behavior. I'm like, this is madness. People are insane. And I'm sorry, I know some of our squatties are Florida, but I'm telling you, I, the fact that and I'm so sorry that Church Nelly said it best. Sane people in Florida need to rebel. The sane people are not saying anything. The majority of sane people in Florida are not saying anything, and they're letting the madness in Florida just take the lead. And so then I have to be calling out the madness in Florida, because they're just being. And so for me, when I see the same kind of behavior especially in the UK, that's why I always call them the Florida of Europe, because even though they're like, we're not in Europe, whatever, but they are like the Florida of Europe because it's the same behavior. And so I mean, and again, even with that, the Sussexes have said nothing, because I think people are seeing it's kind of like the ones who are like, no, 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 there's no racism in the UK. I mean, we talked about so many, especially Black people with those awards. We know who they are. Claiming that there is no racism in the UK, there's no racism in England, and all of that stuff. And it's just like, you see stuff like this, this is overt. This is the overt kind. The majority of the racism is very, very, very subtle, and we know that. It's in the South, the same things. Some of it very subtle. The majority is very subtle. There are those cases that it's overt racism, like these two crazy people and their podcast, and the KKK and stuff. For me, at least I know where these people stand. The ones that's dangerous, the most dangerous are the subtle ones. The subtle ones who could get away with, oh, no, 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 that's not what I meant. That, it's like, oh, no, you're crazy. That's not, those ones who would say and do things that is so subtle, and then gaslight you when you call them out on it. Because then when you call them out, they're like, oh, no, 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 you're crazy. You're just pulling the race card. Those are the dangerous ones for me, so. Oh, Bernadine, thank you so much for your super sticker. Thank you. And Mama Jane, thank you so much for your donation. Oh my gosh, you guys are so kind. Thank you so much. And I think I saw another one flew by me there really quickly. Let's see if I could find it. Oh no, I hope I find it. Thank you guys so much. So, those are some things that has been going on. And the Sussexes have remained silent, focused on whatever it is they're doing. I mean, I know a lot of it might be Harry focusing on his court case, Meghan focusing on whatever production she's working on. Heart of Invictus would be should be coming out shortly. We also know that the Emmy Awards nomination would be coming out. I think Wednesday. I think Wednesday is the 12th, and so the Emmy Award nomination should be coming out then. We know that the press during the voting period is when the U.S. press, starting with Dateline and then Wall Street Journal, and all of them started attacking the Sussexes for no reason other than just meanness, jealousy, and wanting to muddy the water so that people get disgusted and not vote for it, so that they can have another headline. If no one, if they don't get nominated, then it's gonna be Hollywood rejects the Sussexes, Hollywood snob the Sussexes. So it's basically setting up another headline after the 12th is what they were trying to do, and doing everything in their possible in their in their within their means to try to to try to brand the Sussexes as failures in Hollywood. We've seen them start doing it before, and so which is why I put out that video, and a lot of us are posting so many things about the Sussexes success, and so the press is doing the most. They are definitely doing the most, and the American press is right there along with the racist British press and Rupert Murdoch and his mess. And so it's very interesting, but it's so funny in the middle of all of this, and the thing that they would not report for anything, and it's been there. I don't know of any series where at least three of or any TV show where three of their series, like Netflix just acquired um, Megan's old show Suits, and so they have, I think, series 1 to 9 on Netflix. You can just go watch it, and they acquired it June 16th, and it started. Well, they acquired it before, and they started showing it on Netflix on the 16th of June. Since then, Suits have been in the top 5, and now three of their series are in the top 10. And I could be wrong, and other than Megan stuff, I don't really pay attention to Netflix's their top 10. I don't know if any other series has had that before, where three, if they have acquired the whole, like, seasons, I should say, not series, but the whole different seasons of a show, and they have it there, and three of their seasons are in the top 10. And so that is the thing that is happening with Suits. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And so for all the outlets, American and British outlets, claiming the Sussexes are failures, yes, and I know it's Megan's old show, but again, even that is in the top 10, and so many people are discovering just how amazing Suits is. They're like, whoa, I've heard about the show and I didn't know it was that good. People are really going out for Suits, where three of their seasons are now in the top 10. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So maybe it's happened before. And again, I don't really usually, other than with Sussex stuff, I don't really pay attention to Netflix's their top 10, or even, most of their shows, to be honest. And so I have not seen it. And those same people calling them failures, they are not reporting that because, again, they are desperate for that narrative of the Sussexes are failing. Because if the Sussexes are not failing, and if they are success, which they are, then they would have to justify the royals. They'll have to justify William and Kate, their mess, again. So again, this is how it works. But anyways, I'm just gonna jump in the chat to see what you guys are saying again. Those are what I'm sure there are other things that I've missed trying to do and get other things on in my life. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat, and also after that I'll just put the link in the show notes in the chat. And so my friends could call. Maybe Leslie, if you're here, you can call in and just sort of update us with what's going on in the UK and the court case and what happened there. If I missed anything, let's see. Uh, Mama Jane says Rupert Murdoch is going through it. Well, yeah, at least is having to pay 787 million for the Fox News mess. Harry suing, Talk TV dying. They figure like if they don't, their ratings don't pick up by Christmas, that show would be gone. Along with and I'm sure they'll still have to pay Pierce Morgan his 50 million. Can you imagine getting paid 50 million pounds and just pulling in basically barely above what Barron pulls in? Nobody is paying Barron 50 million pounds, and Barron is pulling in just around the level of what Pierce Morgan is pulling in for show. I mean, people need to be paying Barron 50 million pounds. Barron would be like, and Barron's content is a lot better and a lot more funnier. Even my mother prefers Barron's podcast than mine. That's to tell you, you know. So Barron, I would be advocating that Barron should have gotten that 50 million instead of somebody like Pierce. Not that he'd want to work for Rupert Murdoch, but imagine being paid 50 million and that's all your ratings, at least your television ratings are. They want to claim like, oh, but we have clips on Twitter or TikTok, wherever, and that pulls in probably a million. But yeah, I'm paying you 50 million to pull in little clips on TikTok. I mean, the TikTok generation, they're not going to sit there and watch your whole show, but anyways, whatever. So, but again, yes, I look forward to that. I mean, when you're being beaten by GB News, GB News is not even news, So, anyways, very funny. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Joy says those books were not meant to sell. They were put there. They were put out as to what? As to Smith? What are you saying, Joyce? Yeah, give me another chat explaining what you mean. They were put out to. I'm not sure what Smith is. I'm sure you probably just mistyped there. So send me another post, Joyce, explaining what you mean. Compton Gallagher says no one is buying their books. They're lazy liars, just as like the royal family, who do the bare minimum, which is no work or research. And good, because the thing is too, is like people are now recognizing that they are lazy liars, because what they would do is they will quote source. I mean, source could be my aunt who is in another continent. I could write a book claiming a source, and a lot of time their so-called source is another reporter who said something. So they're claiming, because that royal reporter may be in, for example, they may have gone to the palace and got briefed about something. And if that royal reporter said something, you would see a source close to the pick one of the royals and they would quote them as a source. They do that all the time, or their source could be the imaginary person in their head, so. But yeah, people are not buying the nonsense anymore. Ever since Spare, that the books with sources are just not going to do anything. I know even Omid is putting out a book coming out in, I think, in the fall sometime. I love Omid, but he better his book better be much more about sources, because I don't know that, especially the squad is interested in buying any book that just claims sources. So his book better have some factual information from some factual people, and whether people in the squad purchase his book or not. My thing on any book other than Harry and Meghan, if it's a book about Harry and Meghan, or at least I'm not buying it. If Harry, I have Spare, and if Meghan ever decides to put out a book about her life, yeah, there you go. But any book claiming sources said is a no for me. Even if I like the person, even if I, subscribe to some of what they're saying, it's like, Some books I get for total free, so it's like, okay, I'll choose if I want to read it or not. But Again, I love SCOBY, but it better be more than just like, oh, well, this source or that source. Like, it's time to be naming names. So, plus, I think it seems like he's lost a lot of his royal like connections or stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, but he doesn't seem to be as, going on their engagements or stuff like that anymore. And it could just be because he was writing his book, but it doesn't seem that he has the ends that he had before. And a lot of it because, again, when you've gone and testified on behalf of Harry's team and stuff like that, the royals will cut you out. When he wrote Finding Freedom, he had also said that, William did not want him on his engagements anymore. So he's most likely has lost a lot of his royal those sources, shall we say. But we'll see. We'll see what Scobie comes up with, and yeah. Let's see. I love this. I said this before, but I absolutely love this church, Nelly. Yes. I posted this. I put this up before, but yeah, so I saw it again. It's like, yep. Florida people, Leslie, tell those your fellow Floridians, you know, speak up against the crazies in your, in your crazies in your city. It's so funny because Ron DeSantis, I guess he just signed something into law where they now banned alimony payments, and now wealthy or older Floridians are now claiming that they are women, at least claiming that they are going to switch parties because all of a sudden they may be losing out on those alimony payments. And I'm like, and they're upset at Ron DeSantis. And I was like, oh, so all the horrible things that Ron DeSantis has done to disenfranchise, especially black and brown people in your city, you were fine with all those things. You were fine with all the racism. You were fine with all the horrible things, banning books and all of the things that Ron DeSantis is doing. But all of a sudden, he's going to hit you in the pocket. Now, what did you think was going to happen? That it was just going to stay with black and brown people, that you were not going to be affected? The patriarchy that's going to, you think that was not going to affect you in some way? But you did not want to stand up for black and brown people. You didn't want to stand up for the gay community. You didn't want to stand up any of that. Whether, no matter how you think about any of those things, eventually, if you don't stand up for other people, don't expect other people to be standing up for you. So now people are laughing at them because for all the horrible things that Ron DeSantis has done, they didn't stand up. They are the ones that actually, the group the highest number of people that voted for Ron DeSantis are white Floridians. Rich white Floridians are the ones that voted him in there. And now they are upset at him because, well, now they're getting hit. So good luck on that. People tried to tell you they're going to come for you. So, anyways, what else is happening? Let's see what else is happening here. Again, Florida. Let's see. Uh, oh my goodness. This country is Michigan ruled that prisons must recognize white supremacy as a religion. I guess some parts of Michigan is now Florida. I mean, this country is just oh my goodness. I'm like, we are speeding back towards Jim Crow. We are literally, I mean, we are in a race to go back there. Unbelievable. It just, and for so many people who are not speaking out and doing what they need to do to fight this stuff, and it's just sort of like la 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 la, not realizing, I mean, hello, we have a Supreme Court that is now right wing to the hilt. I mean, of course, they just ruled against and just killed affirmative action. I mean, it. Yes, this country is a mess, an absolute mess. Let's see, what else is happening? Hmm. Sylvia says pedal that charter could be lying about 50 million. We talking about Pierce Morgan could be lying about 50 million. I mean, that's what they all reported. So, again, it definitely could be a lie, but for every, again, which could be true because they keep saying all these, throwing out these numbers for the Sussexes, which they never said. So, yeah. And which, obviously the Sussex and the streaming sites that they have a relationship with never spoke about the dollar amount. So this could also be, false. So, yeah. Um, but again, P.S. Morgan is such a loud mouth. I would assume if it wasn't true, he might have said something. But it make when he heard the 50 million, I'm sure that make someone like P.S. Morgan that popped up his ego. So it's kind of like Donald Trump in a lot of ways. Like they want people to think they're. I mean, Donald Trump always want people to think he's a billionaire when he's not. So they have like the same personality. So let's see. Tashman says, "Oh, Sylvia Suits was actually nominated once or twice when it was when it was originally on. I think Got or some other extremely popular show won over them." Oh, really? I had no idea. Suits was nominated for. Are we talking about for an Emmy? Or I mean, yeah, I'm assuming it's an Emmy. This is was for, or it could also be the Golden Globes because the Golden Globes also has television as part of it as well. So, and I think SAG Awards also does. Is it SAG? I think SAG also honors television shows as well. So I didn't realize that. Of course, I mean I didn't know Suits before, so I didn't know anything about the show at all. So I didn't realize that. That's great for them. So yeah, I think I need to go research Suits because there are all these things about it that I missed. So yeah, I didn't realize that, and nobody had mentioned it. So there you go. Let's see. Um, hmm. Sonia says the fact that Rupert Murdoch has been allowed to rule the American airwaves whenever he landed, wherever he landed, that what follows is destabilization of democracy. People should not support these channels. I mean, we've been saying this. I mean, this is so true. This is, I mean, if you look at the democracy in Australia, the UK, and the US especially, it is because of Rupert Murdoch Media, and for some reason, no one has done anything to change it. And in a lot of ways, um, with the destabilization, a lot of rich people are for them and are allowing this stuff. Who people who can make changes, and they have to believe with the destabilization of democracy benefits those wealthy people. With Trump and people want to think, okay, with Trump and as president, he did a lot of things that did not benefit the majority of the country, but the people that it benefited the top, the people with those 1%, the wealthy people, they all wanted him there because it benefited them. What they were doing with the aid of the Fox News and stuff benefited those 1%. That's why they're keeping them there. If Fox News did not benefit them, you will be assured that Rupert Murdoch and his outlets would not be in this country. If Rupert Murdoch and his outlets did not benefit the people, the 1% of the population that has the most money in the UK, the 1% or how many that have the top earners and the top money makers in Australia, if they were not benefiting from Rupert Murdoch destabilizing their economy, destabilizing their democracy, Rupert Murdoch would not be allowed to exist. And so we're fighting against him, but we're also fighting against the people who are making the billionaires of this country. There's a reason why all of these billionaires, including, for us, those black billionaires, and a lot of them that, those wealthy rappers that they use to try to get other black people to be voting for Trump and others, the reason why they're all, for Donald Trump, and then, obviously, you'll have to say they were aligning with the Fox Newses of the world, is because they were all benefiting from it. So when I look at that, it's like, yeah, destabilizing democracy is benefiting those 1% of people who are the wealthiest of our countries. Because again, if they were not benefiting from it, Rupert Murdoch would not be allowed to exist here. He would not be allowed to exist, in the UK, would not be allowed to exist in Australia. You know, when Jacinda Ardern was a prime minister of New Zealand, they had asked her about why her government and stuff and why they didn't have all this misinformation. Now, don't get me wrong, there is some misinformation in their country, but it's not as prevalent as, say, the US, the UK, and Australia. And they had asked her about that. And she said specifically it's because we refuse to allow Rupert Murdoch media in our country. They were very specific about that. And it's very true. You know, they do have their opposing parties and their dissent and all of that stuff, but it has not been allowed to destabilize their democracy and destabilize their government because they refuse to allow Rupert Murdoch media there. Now, don't be surprised if very soon whoever is leading New Zealand allow News Corp to get in there, and don't be surprised. Again, they are benefiting the top earners in our country, and that is why they're still there. Because again, if they weren't benefiting them, they wouldn't be allowed to exist. Um, so it's so funny because when people are like, I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton, whatever. And they really think by voting, like when they voted for Trump, they really felt like they were hurting Biden in some way, that they were hurting Hillary Clinton in some way. These poor people, especially white people, really assumed that they were doing something again to hurt Biden or hurt Hillary. Yes, I'm sure when Hillary didn't win, that it was hurtful for her. She wanted to win, but you weren't doing anything to hurt Hillary Clinton. Why? Hillary Clinton is a rich white woman. Joe Biden is a rich white man. Even if you didn't vote for Joe Biden and you voted back Trump in office, you were not literally hurting Biden. Because why? These people are rich white people. They would literally benefit from, the stuff that Trump was doing in terms of financially. Because again, his thing was, let's get the rich richer. And Biden is on the richer end. Hillary Clinton is on the richer. They would literally be benefiting financially from that. So you're not hurting them. The people that we hurt by voting the Trumps in, the DeSantis in, and all of these crazy people, Republicans in, the people that literally get hurt is you, the people. We, the people, are the ones getting hurt, especially if you're Black and brown people. So you're not hurting those, politicians because they're all rich. They will all benefit from that. The people that we're hurting by voting those crazy people in is ourselves. You're voting against your own interests. That's why people are laughing against the one that are in Florida now, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe DeSantis want to take away, alimony payments. Hello, you are the one that voted him in. Whoever, rich person that lost to him, you're not hurting them. You're hurting yourself. So it's really, really unbelievable. Anyway, that's too much of a rant on that. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Little Mac says, I think the books are meant to generate headlines and to sell papers. I think Valentine Lowe has become irrelevant, so now he is being booked on shows again. So he is getting paid. Very true. Very true. But I'm sure, he would like his book to say, oh, I am a best-selling author and all of those things. Don't think those. I don't think. I mean, from what I understand, when you go on those shows, you get like what, £75 or something like that. So I don't think you you could make a living off of that stuff. But yeah. But yeah, it's wanting to, and again, you notice even with Megan, that whole, they tried to bring up that whole nonsense bullying charges and all of that stuff as part of the narrative recently with the Kate and the recollections made very nonsense. And if you notice, even with the Sussexes, them claim with the Sussexes and Spotify and the whole drama that they try to create with all of that stuff it's the same thing. What they're trying to do is like they've built a narrative, they put out a narrative there, and especially with the bullying stuff, and the whole time what they're trying to do is desperately trying to find a way to connect Megan back with that. And so for me, I wasn't surprised to see Valentino try to bring it out again. I wasn't surprised. He still has not explained how, the whole thing started with William, a bully. And then again, it's the same pattern of that recollections may vary or what Megan wants. It's the same pattern. It start with pinning that on someone, and then to change a narrative, they put it on someone else. It's the same thing. It's just the same exact thing. We've talked a lot about what they did when Princess Diana was here. That Princess Diana, what she did this to her, her attendants or her assistants, and she was mean to her assistants. It's the same thing they've passed on and attached it to Meghan, and now they're desperately trying to find something, any way to back up the narrative that they've pinned on them. It's the same pattern. It's like they just repeat the same pattern. It's just a different person doing it, but it's like they're too lazy to come up with something else, so they just pass it down. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And then when they want to cover up something, for example, we saw the whole thing with Harry and Meghan are getting divorced and Harry's living. So you saw the whole narrative, the whole thing, again, to hide what's happening in the UK. I mean, there's a lot of evidence of what is happening with other relationships in the UK. And again, we're not in people's houses, so we don't know what's going on in their homes. But if what is put out in the public is any evidence of what goes on, it's very stark as to what's happening there. And again, projecting onto the Sussexes. And so, yeah, we see this unbelievable. No wonder Harry and Meghan are like, we are not going to engage in any of that nonsense. um, let's see. Sylvia says, Harry and Meghan, I'm sorry, Petal, you were right. I have bench, spare, and together cookbook. I mean, if you even just pick one of those, all of them bestsellers, two of them wait, did Together Cookbook make number one? I know it was on the bestseller list. Did it make number one? Did I miss it? But we know the bench, obviously the bench and spare are number ones. Again, pick one of those and they're a success. That's all you have to do. And so unbelievable. It is hot in New York. Sorry, I have to drink. Taking a lot of fluids. Gwendolyn says, Omid better be careful. Those vipers are absolutely crazy. I saw something with Omid tweeting. I guess somebody probably wrote another nasty article about him. They're always attacking Omid for, the whole thing with it is that they are jealous of Omid. Omid obviously has connections in terms of he has an in with the Sussexes. He has a source, you know, that gets him information about the Sussexes. That's very clear. That doesn't mean the Sussexes talk to him or any of those things. He obviously has. That's very clear. Sometimes he gets stuff right, sometimes he gets it very wrong. We've seen that as well. And so the others in the UK press, especially royal reporters, know that, and they are jealous because Omid is able to get information that they are not privy to. And so, especially that Omid testified on for Harry's team against the Mirror, so their knives are out against Omid, and Omid doesn't care because Omid is just like, look, and he would say the things that they can't say because Omid has a contract with none of them. He doesn't have a contract with the royal family, so he's able to say things within limit. Even Omid is careful sometimes. That they can't say, or they wouldn't say because they know that their ins with the palace would be cut off. And so the knives are out. So Omid tweeted something about, I guess somebody said something about a gold car or a gold Jeep or something against him. I don't know what the whole thing is, but I saw him tweeting. So I was like, I guess one of them, they probably wrote something nasty about Omid again. And they've been doing a whole lot of that. I know recently they wrote trying to shame him for, I think when he started as a student reporter, a young reporter, I guess. He started working with a tabloid. I think it's called the Flair or something like that. I guess something like that. It was called some tabloid, and so they tried to shame him about his past, and he wrote a whole thing about that. It's like, no, I actually had fun. It was a tablet, it was a mess, but I actually had fun learning and being on the red carpet and all of those things. So they're trying to use a lot of things to shame Omid. They've tried it with his age. I mean, I guess he wasn't all that honest with his age. And so they've tried to shame him in a lot of things. So yeah, if you go against the establishment, go against the establishment's narrative, they will make your life a living hell. So it's amazing that Homid has been able to stay in London, um and but he is very limited now on Twitter. That I very rarely see posts from Omid anymore on Twitter. And so yeah, he is definitely limited that, and I'm assuming he's might be more active in other platforms. I he's on Spoutable as well, but I don't know that I've really seen, or probably hadn't noticed much action from him on Spoutable. So yeah, but yeah, they will go after you. The establishment and their right wing press will go after you, and Omid definitely has got that. Let's see. Um, let's see who else is saying stuff. Sylvia says Hillary tried to tell everyone what was happening with the Supreme Court if they voted for her opponent. She sure did. Someone posted a thing from about what Hillary said. That it's going to be right wing. Trump is going to pack that court with right wingers, and this is what they're going to do. Hillary, I'm telling you, everything Hillary said was going to happen did happen. And people were like, they in their mind they were hurting Hillary by not voting for her. And she was like, no, this is what's going to happen. And everything Hillary Clinton said was going to happen has happened. Every single thing she said was going to happen has happened. She had an inside track at all. I mean, the woman was first lady. She worked with Barack Obama, Secretary of State. She knew what was happening. And people were like, no, 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 she's a woman. We can't vote for her. And yeah, here we go. Here we are. And again, they thought they were hurting Hillary, but what they didn't realize at the time was that they were so excited about having a president that really didn't like black people, and having a president that really was racist in a lot of ways. That was their thing. They got a president that felt the way they felt, and action was the way they. And yeah, they got it. And now a lot of them are suffering the consequences of that. That's what happens when you vote against your own interests, because, as long as you have black people to look down on, you vote against your own interests. Unbelievable. Let's see. Sonia Johnson says, I think Ron should have open season on the closeted white supremacists in Florida. It's only when they are affected that you will hear peep out of them. Way to go, Ron. Next, it should be pensions. I'm telling you, he is coming for all of them. He is coming for all of them. They just assumed that he was only going to affect black and brown people. They assumed that it was on. They were fine. I mean, look at what he did for immigrants in Florida. Look at what, and now he basically kicked them all out, and now they have all of these homes that immigrants were the ones building. All of these farms and stuff that immigrants were the ones there working on their farms. Now they can't find anyone because it was all about those immigrants coming in, those Mexicans coming in and taking all our jobs. Well, the Mexicans are gone. The immigrants are gone. Now they have nobody to fill those jobs. So you have hundreds of homes not being built, all of these construction projects that are not being done. Why? Because the immigrants that were the ones building it are gone. And now they're like, what do we do? They have, farms that, farmers are sitting there like, what do? We don't have people to work these farms. So it's just like, y'all should have thought of that before y'all voted for it. You should have thought of it. And they only speak up when they are affected. They are fine with them kicking the immigrants out. Now they're complaining because, well, now it's like, well, we need our home built. We need our, construction project built. We need our vegetables. Where are our vegetables? Well, you kicked out the immigrants. Remember, you kicked out, yeah. You said you couldn't work the jobs there. So unbelievable. Um, let's see. Hmm. And Lewis, I'm so happy you're here as well. She's like, I made it to the chat. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday. Blessings to you too. And I'm happy you made it too. I know it was like one of those my impromptu things, but I'm like, I miss my friends. I want to chat with my friends. Rochelle says, don't forget DeSantis's new Florida law. Illegal immigrants with driver's license will no longer be accepted in Florida, no matter what state issued the license. I'm telling you, when people stop going to Florida, I know that the NAACP put out an advisory for especially Black and brown people to not go to Florida. Go there at your own risk. But when the NAACP had to put out a thing saying stay out of Florida, there's a problem there. But yeah, I saw something like this, and I didn't read the whole article. But yes, I saw this where yeah, illegal immigrants with driver's license, they can't come to Florida. I'm telling you, it's one of those things where people are literally going to stop going to Florida. A lot of Florida's economy depends on tourism, and that's going to be the next thing that's going to hit. Where people are going to stop going. So if you're hotels in Florida, if you have, centers where people book, a lot of people like to book their conventions and all of that stuff in Florida. Kids like to do their summer breaks, spring breaks in Florida. Those are going to be what's going to be hit. And so a lot of Florida's economy is going to tank because of this. It's like this man is literally destroying his state right before their eyes. And just because, for a lot of them, just because his whole thing and he has the whole, I'm going to destroy Black people mentality, they are okay with that. And now they're seeing it's like, oh, wait a minute. Because people are simply going to stop going to Florida. I mean, I would never set foot in that place. Even before all this mess happened, I was never going to set foot in Florida anyway. But now, never ever set foot in that place. It's crazy because who wants to go through this nonsense? And I think we have to also be careful because this, it's not just him. A lot of the stuff that he's doing is spreading to other states as well, and other Republican states, whether it's banning books and all of that stuff, it's spreading to other Republican states. So we have to have our eyes open. And again, on a lot of these things, we think of, when it's voting or when it's election time, it's like, oh, let's pay attention to the big, national election. But a lot of things are happening, and a lot of these laws are going into place because we don't pay attention to those midterm elections. The local government is what are the ones that are putting a lot of these things in, that's destroying a lot of communities. It's because of those local elections. Those elections that we're not paying attention to, those are the ones that are really affecting the states. Those are the people that are getting in office that are changing laws, especially that are damaging so many, especially in the Black and brown community. So those are the ones that we have to pay attention to, the local elections. Let's see. Rebecca says people need to pay attention. I remember before Rupert Murdoch, before Rupert M got a foothold in America, the late Teddy Kennedy fought so hard to stop the FCC to grant license. Now that Teddy K. Now, what Teddy K said has come to pass. I don't know much about Teddy K, but Teddy, which is Teddy Kennedy, he's one of the Kennedy. He was a senator, and great friend and supporter of Barack Obama, who passed away obviously a few years ago. I think during Barack Obama's first term, he passed away, and the thing with the I've been saying this forever. There is no reason why Rupert Murdoch has a license in the US. I mean, we read an article in an episode a few weeks ago where this man who used to work for Fox is saying that they need to pull Rupert Murdoch's license. There is no reason this man has a license in the US, especially after the Dominion debacle, where they had to pay $787 million to Dominion for lying about, their ballot boxes, etc. They deliberately lied. They knew it was a lie. They did it deliberately. They misled the American public deliberately because of competition with other right-wing press. They wanted to be they knew it was a lie. They were texting each other knowing it was a lie, that what was being reported by Tucker Carlson and others, they knew very well it was a lie, and they did it anyway. And the fact that they are still here and they are still it's not like they've changed and now they're telling the truth. They're still lying, and they're still allowed to keep their license. Again, if Rupert Murdoch was not benefiting rich people, Rupert Murdoch Media, if it wasn't benefiting rich people, it would not be here. It really would not. And even the ones who are like, oh no, on the Democratic side, there's the two would be fighting to get rid of Murdoch Media. And I have not heard one of them say a peep about it. Yes, they decry the fake news. Yes, they do. But none of them are calling to get rid of Rupert Murdoch Media. They're not calling to get rid of News Corp. None of them are doing it. And for me, it's like, well, why not? Why not? If they really, really care so much as they say about the democracy of this country, the very thing that is at the core of destroying it, they would be advocating nonstop to get rid of it, and they're not doing that. They are turning it to, oh, this person from Fox said this, or it's Tucker Carlson said this, or, well, Tucker Carlson, well, now he's no longer with them, but the others that are doing it are still there. You know what I mean? So you can make it about the reporter all you want, but the reporter isn't the power behind their company. The Rupert Murdoch the family that owns News Corp, they are the people you need to go after. Because if they said no, the reporters they couldn't do what they're doing. So again, I have not seen Democrats go after this. They go after fake news, even what's his name? Who I'm like, we need to get rid of him. The leader of the Senate, the Democrat, whatever his name, Chuck Schumer. We need to have somebody there that is more powerful, that is more of an advocate. I mean, this past blasé behavior of this man is just like, can we just have somebody in there who can lead the Senate and really do something, and not somebody who's not friends with all the Republican senators, please? They decry fake news all the time. But they're not going after the root of what's causing all of this. So, I mean, again, if they're not benefiting from it, it wouldn't be there. Gwendolyn says a lot of Black people voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, we did, especially those blacks for Trump. Yeah, of course. Of course, because, you think if you try to get in, I mean, we have Black Republicans running for president right now, who are claiming that there's no racism in the I mean, one of them is from Kentucky. What is it? Was he the DA? Whatever he is. No, is he from Kentucky? I don't remember where he's from. I think I, blocked it out, but whatever. We have Black people running. We have, what's her name? Nimrata. What's her name? running. I mean, it's just, who all of whom claim there's no racism in the U.S. Who basically their whole campaign is about going after black people, and so, or at least in terms of attacking black people, and so yeah, it's just unbelievable. Let's see. Cookies and Cream says, I don't understand why people vote against their own interests, especially people of color. It's so senseless. I'm telling you, somewhere I would never understand it either. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's not like they don't know. It's not like they don't, it just, yeah. I guess they think by aligning themselves with someone that the person wouldn't do anything that could harm them specifically. They think that whomever it is they're voting for would see them differently, and somehow they would rise above the people that that person is attacking, that they're somehow special in this way, and and they don't really seem to realize that no, actually they see you as just the same. No matter how much you align themselves, no matter how much you've tried to be the Candace Owens of the world, no, you're just a black person to them. They will never change for you. They will never see you as anything more than that. So unbelievable. We saw recently, I'm sorry, we just got all political on this, but we saw recently where uh, I was it a few weeks ago. Donald Trump has this meeting in this restaurant at this. I think it was a Cuban restaurant in Florida. And all these Cubans were there. Yeah, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is like, yeah, and I'm buying dinner, or what is it, lunch or dinner for everyone here. And they're like, yeah, Donald Trump, and he has this, one of his little campaign things, and all these Cubans are there celebrating Donald Trump. Yeah, and he's buying us whether it's lunch or dinner, whatever. Donald Trump had his little thing and walked out of that restaurant and bought them nothing. And then they started complaining. He bought them nothing. He walked out and left them there with nothing. And I'm sure they thought, yeah, we are aligning ourselves with Donald Trump. So yeah, at the very least, he's going to buy us, whether it was lunch or dinner or whatever it is he promised them when he walked in. And this is Donald Trump. He has done this every single time for how many years? And they are still believing that Donald Trump is here for them. They are still believing it. And the same Cubans, I'm sure, that were experienced this and were complaining in the news about it, I'm sure that these are the same people that will still go ahead and vote for him. Because somehow they believe it'll be different this time. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But anyway, let's mm, let's see. Um, Lil Max said, "Oh, she's talking to bad words." She says, "I agree. Hopefully, now that Fox ratings is dropping, there will not be an automatic inclusion in the basic package." Oh, I guess you're talking about cable news. They are like part of the packages, and that's the thing with I mean, I don't have TV, but how I understand those cable packages, it comes with a bunch of different channels, whether you want the channel or not. So hopefully, people would start dropping Fox News and those other crazy right wing news outlets that these companies that have like tons and tons of new television outlets all around the country, and you'd be watching it not realizing it's the same company that owns a lot of these news outlets. And it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to see they they brainwash people. It's I mean, it is scary. Let's see. Stephen Nixon says, when we used to travel to Florida a lot for cheerleading competition, we used to go to Destin for shopping. Just had a family member transfer from Florida State. Thank goodness for that. Thank goodness too. I'm happy they're out of Florida. It is crazy. And again, not just Florida. This is, you see Florida and Texas. Texas a little bit less than Florida in a lot of things, but they're in the same way. Yeah, I'm happy your family member is out of there too. Um, and Louis says history shows that people buy their way into government, lobbies, etc. Money talks, even if it destroys people and communities. The bigger the propaganda, I'm assuming, a more believable. Very true. Very true. And I think that's why we need, the one thing that is always important, that is like not just believing the nonsense people say on television, is doing your research. I think, there is no excuse for people not doing their research and stuff and just buying the nonsense people say on television. And yes, television is a very powerful medium, and you sit there, and if you're just sitting there watching and taking in all that stuff, you really do believe that it is true. And if you don't take the time to, like, okay, I know you said this, write it down, go and find it. I mean, you can go to the library, you can go Google stuff, whatever. And again, not everything that you Google is true, but if you do enough research, you can actually see. If you look at the background of people, look at what their beliefs in the past and see what it is now, you can eventually find the truth about, at least get more information about a situation before you decide to adopt a belief. And these news outlets, whether it's in the US, and you see it especially in, say, the UK, is that people just don't take the time to research stuff. It's like they say something, it aligns with what you think, and then you run with it. And it's like, but you can go look. You can go look. And a lot of times, especially now, you see reporters do stuff like this. They would believe something a year ago, and if something, and then they would change their beliefs and start preaching something else. If there is money attached to it, and if their following if their following increases when they change their belief, and if they make money from the belief that they just changed, they will adopt that and start preaching. And all of a sudden, you would think that this person had this belief all along. Perfect example for this is Joe Rogan. He has hit upon the perfect grift. Talk about a grifter. For the fact that this guy from Spotify, Jeremy, whatever his name is, was referring to the Sussex as a grifter. I'm telling you, he is on Spotify with Joe Rogan, right? He has this podcast platform, and that he sold to Spotify for like 200 million. And so he is on Spotify with Joe Rogan, who Spotify paid 200 million to acquire his podcast. Well, Joe Rogan, before Joe Rogan has become this anti-vax person that he is today, Joe Rogan believed in vaccination. He even had a doctor come on there at the beginning of COVID, and all of a sudden talking about the value of vaccinating and how it has helped people and all of those things. Then Joe Rogan somehow hit upon this, anti-vax thing, and then realized, oh my gosh, there is a big market for this. There is a big market for this anti-vax horse. You remember when COVID was at its height, there's the horse dewormer thing, ivermectin, and all of those things. Joe Rogan hit upon that and realized there was a huge market for that. And all of a sudden, Joe Rogan has become this. We had actually even had it on a podcast. I even put this on a podcast before. And all of a sudden, Joe Rogan changed his whole belief because why? He has a bigger audience as this anti-vax, disinformation person, where they are now even challenging actual scientists to come on his show, and had this whole big mess recently attacking a scientist, where one of his crazy people showed up at the scientist and doctor's home, trying to intimidate him to go on Joe Rogan to argue with this crazy Kennedy guy who's now running for president. And so If you didn't know anything about Joe Rogan, you would just think that Joe Rogan had this belief all along. But no, Joe Rogan realized he has a bigger audience and he can make more money off of this, you know, anti-vax craziness. And what is it? What is he now? That's what he's known for now. But if you didn't research to realize, like, oh, wait a minute, you wouldn't realize that, which is what a lot of people do. Unbelievable. The same thing with, say, Piers Morgan. If people don't know and have not done research on Piers Morgan, they would really believe that Piers Morgan has always, for his entire life, hated Meghan Markle. They would always believe that. They would not believe how Piers Morgan was all over Meghan Markle before her wedding, including, I guess, expecting to get an invite to her wedding, even saying that Harry is, basically hit the gold mine in Mary Meghan, how amazing she was, how wonderful she was. Even called to the fact where he called the royal family racist. The same Piers Morgan who is attacking Harry for speaking the truth about his own family was the one that was, that no, she's marrying to people who, have a dodgy track record on race and all of those things he was saying before he realized he wasn't getting an invitation to her wedding. And all of a sudden, Piers Morgan has become what he now is. So again, if people don't do research, you would not know that. And you wouldn't know is because he didn't get, Harry and Meghan stop, because before Harry, they had they connected over Twitter over Twitter, and they would have realized the reason why he is what he's doing now, his grift now and attacking them, is because she wants nothing to do with him, and he didn't get an invitation to the wedding, So it's it's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Moving on. Let's see. Um, Trisha says Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas believe they're white. Again, Clarence Thomas, if people had believed what, it was just, we go back to Professor Anita Hill. If people had trusted her, if people had believed her, we would not have Clarence Thomas today. I would always believe. Wasn't Tim Scott the one when I think he was at a Donald Trump rally, and Donald Trump, I think he shook the hand of everybody before Tim Scott, and then he came by Tim Scott and completely ignored Tim Scott and went right past him. And Tim Scott tried to do that stupid grin. I think it was the same person. It was so embarrassing. It was again, these people, they think somehow Donald Trump is going to change, and I guess now he's running for president. But I think the thing is with Tim Scott is like the people that he's pandering to, they're not going to vote for him. The same thing with Nikki Haley. They're not going to vote for him. The same thing with Vivek Ramaswamy, who's also running for president on the back of attacking Black people. The people whose boots they're licking are not going to vote for them, no matter what they do and no matter what they say. They're not going to vote for them. So, and you could add Ice Cube to that one too. Just like he did the same thing, did last year. I mean, every time an election time coming around, Ice Cube does the same thing. It just, Republicans have a way of using Black rappers, especially. We've seen them do it, Donald Trump. We've seen them do it with Kanye. Ice Cube. We've seen them do that a lot. They go for people, these guys who make a lot of money because they think, okay, I'm in the same bracket, so I benefit from this, So, yeah, it just Ice Cube. For some reason, they put themselves out as leaders of the Black community, and it's like, no, you're not. Little Max says, well, between Murdoch, who owns so much news outlet, and Sinclair, who owns about 100 local TV stations, America are not getting the facts, just opinions. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And I remember we did an episode, and I think where we talked about Sinclair Media and their connection with Politico when Politico did that nasty article, including where they attacked Megan, and we're like, why is Politico attacking Megan? And we realized that they're the owner of Politico, and their relationship with Sinclair Media and the whole bit. And we talked about Sinclair Media, how they had this thing about false news and fake news, and their reporters would be talking about fake news. And then because they have all these channels all around the country, you'd hear this and you would think, oh yeah, it's really true. Only to realize, I mean, there's a video where they put all the videos of all Sinclair stations together, where all of those stations were saying the exact same thing. And the way how the reporters would read it, you would think that literally that just came from the reporters, that it was their station warning people. What you don't realize, it was a company-wide statement that all of them were reading the same exact line from Sinclair, while at the same time giving you fake news. It is it is a scary. It is it is the scariest thing to watch. Unbelievable. Uh, yeah, I think that, if you look back at the episode on Politico, that's we were talking about that there. It's really crazy how the all of these news outlets are attached, and how the connections between all of them. Um, let's see. Sishan says the Cubans will still continue to align to the right. Yeah, it's just yeah, I don't understand it, but they are. They are that it's like their closeness, I guess, to white. It's like they, I guess they feel like, we have that closeness to it, so therefore, that's where we go. I don't understand it. And again, voting against your own interest. um H9 says these Cubans left Cuba for freedom, and yet they voted for people like DeSantis and Trump. Dumb. I I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's like you in a state, especially state Florida, where they are treating my immigrants like that. You're an immigrant. You came to this country. You're just like them, and yet you're voting for someone, and they would look you in the eye, and they are just as racist or just as anti-immigrant as the white person who is trying to kick them out. And it's just like, for somehow they think they're different and they would be treated different, and it's like, no, that adjacent, they feel like they're that this white adjacent, and they it's just like, when push comes to shove, you're not white, and they're going to treat you the same. And it's just, I don't understand why they think they would be treated differently. I don't understand it, but they do. Let's see. Gwendolyn says, traditionally, their mirror has been broken. I would say that, yes, a lot of these, whether it's iced tea or, all of them, their mirror has definitely been broken. Their money helps them to think that they're shades lighter than they really are. And it's like, it takes one of them to get slapped down to realize, oh, really, I'm black. Yeah, oh, okay. You know, it's very funny because I remember there was this rapper, the guy who is now with Rihanna, who has a baby with Rihanna. I don't even remember what his name is. I don't, whatever. ASAP Rocky. I remember a while ago, before, and I think that was long before he and Rihanna came in a relationship. ASAP Rocky's the things that he would say, like, look, I am a, because he used to model for Dior and he would be at Paris fashion shows and stuff like that. And he basically, and I could be wrong, but the way he spoke about Black and the inner city community, it was more like, look, I'm not into all that. I am a Dior model. I live in Beverly Hills and all of that stuff. And all of a sudden, and that was his attitude, basically. And how it came across to me, and again, other people may see it different. How it came across to me was he was above the Black community. He was above Black people. His thing was, I am a Dior model, and we know Dior is French, and they are high fashion French, obviously, design company, and he lives in Beverly Hills, and that was his, that was his thing. Fast forward a few years later, was it last year? He was away, and I think it was to do a concert somewhere in Europe, and got arrested. And he was in jail, and people were advocating for them to release him from jail. And I remember, I love FK Twigs, and they were all advocating for them, make sure he gets released from jail. And all of a sudden, he's released from jail and came back. And all of a sudden now, he's with Rihanna. Yes, we know Rihanna is rich and all of that stuff, but his attitude has completely changed. I have not heard one of those kind of comments out of A$AP Rocky. Not that he says a whole lot now, but the attitude seemed to have changed. And the thing about it is, for me, when you have this attitude, when you forget who you are, eventually one of these people who you're sucking up to will remind you of who you are, and then you see the change. And that's, I think, sometimes what needs to happen with a lot of us. It's like, make your money, do great things, get your big house, whatever, but don't forget for a moment, and think for a moment, the people who you're bowing down to, forget who you are. You might forget who you are. You might forget that you're a Black man and you're just a Black man with money. But the moment something happens, all of a sudden, they will remind you of who you are. They will remind you. We saw the same thing with the guy for the Marvel movie. Jonathan, was it Jonathan somebody who is in one of those shows? Big, big superstar, shot up to fame in a minute. All of a sudden, he, and they, whether it's true or not, he's saying it didn't happen, that he attacked his white girlfriend, whatever. She said it happened, he said it didn't, and now she was arrested, and all of this stuff is happening. All of a sudden, when he was this big celebrity with money, and all of a sudden his movies are doing great, he's in all of these films, and he is the biggest thing in Hollywood, or at least one of them, white Hollywood loved him. He had a white girlfriend, and all of a sudden, he is arrested for attacking her, whether it's true or not. They both have conflicting things, whether it's true or not. All of a sudden, the white people who was in his corner, including his agents, his manager, all of a sudden they dropped him. Doesn't have the white girlfriend anymore. All of a sudden, they've slapped him, and all of a sudden his girlfriend is now Black, and he's in and out of jail trying to defend himself. All of a sudden, again, it's for some reason, they tend to forget who they are. And as Church Nelly says, their mirror gets broken and they forget who they are. And so it's just, we see. Unbelievable. Let's see. We could chat about the Sussexes too. I know we got into kind of political stuff here. we can still try to defend. We can still try to, yeah. Although our faves are again, they are quiet, so we could chat royal stuff as well. Let's see. Rhonda says, very true. Ohio has a special election in August, changing our constitution that strips our rights so Republican can dismiss our votes legally. Wow. I'm telling you, these local elections, this is the most important. These are the most important elections. Yes, the big ones. But, the thing about it, even if you vote for Joe Biden and you vote Democrat, If you didn't pay attention to what's going on in your state, Joe Biden can't come into your state and change this. You know what I mean? He's powerless to come into Ohio and change this. So the most important, even though the national elections are the ones that has the most, obviously the most popular, the bigger one, and it seemed to be the most important one, it is of lesser value in your community than the local elections, because the local elections, they're the ones that could change the makeup of your of your community and your state, like this. This is unbelievable. And so let's see. Dale Beef says someone is being bought to keep him in the US. Money is the root of all evil. I would not be surprised if not that he needs to be bought. He has enough money. He doesn't need that. And money, it's so funny. People say this all the time. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money can be made for a lot of good things. We need money to live, to eat. Those are good things. We need money to help each other. That's good things. So this is where I disagree on this. The money is the love of money. And the love of it is the root of all evil. When we're loving money to the detriment of other people, where you're using it to hurt people, those are the root of all evil, I think. So I just want to, for me, correct that in a little way. It's just for and even the Bible talks about that. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Um, uh, Angela says Murdoch sneaked in and got a foothold in the U.S. entertainment and media. It's not so easy to get rid of him now. He definitely, I mean, he's an American citizen now, and that's the one of the ways he was able to bypass, where you have to be an American citizen to have that kind of an entertainment company here. So he is an American citizen, and so that's why legally he's able to get this. But again, for me, whether you're an American citizen or not, if your company is destroying the fabric of this nation, the thing that keeps us really from being animals, in the way we treat each other, you know then I would think, if you have the power to stop it, you would. If you really care about the democracy and you see something that is literally literally, the democracy in this country is literally on an edge, hanging on by its fingertips, and you do nothing about that, you know, then it's like, hello, if you really cared, that's what you'd be going after. No, you can be like, oh yeah, but they got rid of Tucker Carlson all you want. Tucker Carlson does not run Fox News. He doesn't own Fox News, no matter how much money he got, and no matter how many people watch his shows. You know, Tucker Carlson is not with them anymore, but there are other people that rises up. He's just gonna go, which I think he's now doing something on Twitter, I guess. And it just hello. So unbelievable. Um, Come the Galligan says it's extremely hard for the FCC to get rid of Rupert Murdoch News. Did some research, and as long as he is on cable TV and not public airways, he can continue to do damage. You know, if we know one thing, if the American government wants to do something, they will. If the American government could go on a basic lie and go destroy Iraq, about those what is it? Weapons of mass destruction lie, and got a whole, army of people to go destroy a country on a lie, get all these other nations to go follow it on a lie to destroy other. They could get rid of Rupert Murdoch. If we have a whole court system that just took down affirmative action, they stripped, They canceled basically Roe v. Wade. I mean, if they want to do something, they will do it. And for me, the reason, yes, it is hard, but it is not impossible. It is not impossible. And if they really wanted to do something, they would do it. So yeah, it's not, so for me, it's not, I know, yeah, it's hard because I know Trump wanted to get rid of CNN when he was here and when he was the president, the president, and all of that stuff. Look, if they really wanted to go after it, they would have done it. So as yes, it is hard, and especially if Rupert Murdoch is an American citizen. But I honestly believe if they wanted to do it, they'll get it done. But Rupert Murdoch and his ilk, they benefit rich people. Again, even if a Republican comes into office, if Trump were to be re-elected, a lot of these politicians who can get rid of Fox, a lot of these politicians are rich white people. They, whatever Trump put, no matter what craziness Trump does, no matter what services and institution he destroys when it's there, the wealthy people of the United States benefit from that. And most of these politicians who have the power to do something benefit from it. So even if they're Democrats, they still benefit because they are the 1% of us. They benefit no matter, even if Trump comes in. So for me, when I see that, I'm like, do you really want to make a difference or not? So Cookies and Cream says the FCC should pull should pull Murdoch's license. People need to contact the FCC to complain. Action speaks louder than words. A Democrat needs to start swinging. They're not. Again, the last thing I saw with, and maybe I should pay more attention, is Senator Chuck Schumer talking about with the I think it was with the Dominion stuff where he was talking about the fake news from Fox News, that they should really crack down on their fake news and whatever. You would think Senator Schumer is the leader of the, he's the Senate majority leader from the, well, he's a senator, he's a Senate majority leader. You would think he would literally go after Murdoch instead of going after, it's like, oh, well, fake news. Oh, yeah, right. Rupert Murdoch cares about that. When he should be literally going after Murdoch himself, when he should be like, look, we are going to advocate to pull your news outlet from the United States. Schumer didn't do that. It was like, you should be denouncing fake news. Yeah, right, sure. Rupert Murdoch is going to denounce fake news. Sure, when his whole empire is built on it. It was toothless. It was like the IPSO. Let's see. That's true. I think Sinclair definitely owns more television than Murdoch. Murdoch is not just, but again, Rupert Murdoch's not just television. Rupert Murdoch, he has television, obviously, in different news outlets, but he's also in publishing. He's also owns the Wall Street Journal. I think the Dow Jones, the Wall Street Journal. He owns the New York Post. He owns, all, especially, we talked recently about them attacking Meghan. Wall Street Journal, all of that stuff, Rupert Murdoch owns. And those are the things we know of. And of course, he owns a whole host of news outlets in the UK and also in Australia. So his thing is not just television station. He's in a lot of different things. And some of the things he may own outright, and some of the things he partners in with, and and not just him, but his family, and like Lachlan, I think, is the one who is running all of that stuff now. They own a lot of different things. So, for example, when the New York Post outed Prince Harry when writing Spare, that was the first time we knew that Harry was writing a book, because someone leaked it to the New York Post. And you're like, well, how did they get that? Why? Because Rupert Murdoch is in publishing. And so they have contacts in publishing, and somebody there leaked that, And so, yeah, it just unbelievable. And, they're also in production. So obviously we know so many different, they have so many different, production, whether they either acquire it or what, for say Fox News outlets. They're also Fox Sports. So they're in so many different areas that is sort of like they have the corner the market on just about every area in entertainment, sports, publishing. They just like, and so now every time I read something, I literally have to go look up, okay, who owns this? Because I expect to see Rupert Murdoch pop up somewhere. So I was so shocked when I was like, okay, I was reading something from Forbes. I'm like, who owned Forbes? And I had to go. I was like, okay, does Rupert Murdoch own anything in Forbes? And I couldn't find. I was like, okay, maybe you were safe. It's amazing. Let's see. Let me scroll all the way down. So what you guys are saying? You know what? Actually, Leslie F, are you still here? I want to see what's going on in news of the court cases in the UK. I don't care about Markle nonsense. That's just nonsense. I'm like so bored with that. I'm like so over it. So any news, Leslie F, if you're still here and want to call in and let us know if there's anything else going on with Harry's court case that that's happened. So yeah. So definitely feel free to call in. Let's see. So the link is in the chat, Leslie, if you're still here. Let's see what's happening. Or actually anyone else who wants to call in. I think I've been just talking way too much. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, what's this about, Sonia? Emergency vehicles just rolled up? Do tell. I hope everybody is okay. Little Max says at Murdoch's party in England, he had people from both sides of the aisle. Nothing will change if Labour wins the next election. This is absolutely true. This is absolutely true, including Keir Starmer, who is the leader of the Labour Party. I remember right after that, Hugh Grant, who has been, along with Harry, advocating for press reform. He basically is attached to Hacked Off, and they are absolutely in court, to sue Rupert Murdoch and all of that stuff because they hacked him and also I think, broke into his home. I think it was the Murdoch. I think he's suing the son for that. And he was like, wow, if this is true, this is very heartbreaking. And I remember responding, I'm like, if it's true, here are pictures. It is true. He was there, and I'm like, Keir Starmer is not going to change a thing. He is the leader of the Labour Party. And so people are like, well, they're better than the Tories. I was like, oh no, they're just as racist. There have been MPs from the Labour Party who have been like, they have experienced incredible racism within the Labour Party. And, you think in terms of press, nothing is going to change. Nothing will change. It's like this man is also there. And I remember when I posted it, somebody was saying, well, Keir Starmer could have gone there because, it's important to know how the other side think. And I was like, no person in their right mind who knows what Rupert Murdoch has done and is doing to people and in the middle of a phone hacking case involving the son, phone hacking, or shall we say illegal news gathering, and knowing how many billions Rupert Murdoch has had to pay people to hush them up. The fact that, even the royals, Prince Charles or King Charles, is both of his top men were there, knowing that Rupert Murdoch paid almost or at least £1 million to Prince William in hush money for the same illegal news gathering that Rupert Murdoch paid 787 million to Dominion in the US. No one who knows all those things that Rupert Murdoch has done, if they have any sense of going in a different direction and having a different government, would go to a party with the same man. So Keir Starmer is not going to change a thing. He is just as in bed with the rest of them. He is just right up in there with the king. You know, when you see Tobin Andrade and Clyde Alderman, who is the King Charles's private secretary or a press secretary and is private secretary, all there representing him at Rupert Murdoch's party, they're all in the same despicable boat together. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. And indeed, I'm sure, you know, them stripping more privacy rights from the people of the UK is going to keep going forward. Because again, they're all in bed together. Because I guess they feel like we have to have Rupert Murdoch's tabloid on our side because, well, if they don't, it was more important for them to win than for them to get rid of the tabloids. Again, it's more important if Rupert Murdoch did not benefit those. And if you notice, there weren't poor people at Rupert Murdoch's party. There were all the top people in the UK, the top earning people, the reporters, the government officials. These are the people, and those elites of the UK, all of them at that party, all of them benefiting from Rupert Murdoch. If they did not benefit from Rupert Murdoch, they would have gotten rid of Rupert Murdoch. It's the same thing in the US. They all benefit from him. They benefit from the lies. They benefit from the misinformation. That's why he's still there. And it's the same thing in Australia. I know Australia, they have this organization that's really fighting to get rid of Rupert Murdoch. But again, if the elites of the US, the UK, and Australia did not benefit from him, he wouldn't be there. That's why they're not getting rid of him. Let's see. And Louis says some rappers are very disrespectful of their cultures, especially women and the music industry promote it to continue dehumanizing Black women. Hope some see what actually done, divide and conquer. Yeah, that is very true. That is very, very true. I mean, they are making money. For them, it's all about money. It's as I think it was Malcolm X who said that Black women are the most disrespected in all the world is Black women, and Black rappers, and not just rappers, a lot of Black men buy into that, and we are the most, yet we are the most loyal to them. If when one of them go down, for example, again, I was talking about that actor who was all about white women, and then when stuff happens, when all of a sudden now he's charged with attacking her, he's now with a Black woman. It's just they need us to support them when they are getting into trouble. We are the ones, we're up there, when those officers, when police attack Black men, we are the ones to, start these movements and to get out there and protest in support of them. But then when it comes to respecting us, we are the last on the list. We are the last on the list to get respected. Some of the things that I've seen, especially on Twitter, of Black people, Black men tweeting about Black women has been so deplorable. It's been so unbelievably deplorable. And so, yeah. My thing is with all of this is, especially for women, we are the first to support them. We are the first to buy their music. We are the first to watch their videos and, go to their concerts. We need to remember this when they have their music. We need to remember these are the people and how we are treated. We need to stop and pull our support until we get respect. Stop going to their concerts. Stop buying their music. Stop advocating for them. We need to stop. And like if we're not going to be respected, then you're going to have to stand up for yourself. So, and let the people whose boots you've been licking be the ones to support you. We are the only ones who really are advocating for us. And I'm not saying this of all Black men at all. We have Black men who's very amazing, who support us and who publicly support and advocate. I mean, one of them is Christopher Boozy, who created Spoutable for, especially Black women, because he saw what was happening to us on, say, on social media, especially Twitter and stuff, where we were just being maligned on the daily. He advocated for Megan, advocating for Vice President Kamala Harris, and so many other Black women that people of all races were just attacking for whatever reason. And that was one of the reasons he created Spoutable, to have a safe space where we didn't have to deal with that mess. So yeah, so some men are amazing in advocating for us, but there are those that are just like, ugh, ugh. So, anyways, um, Madwell says, but it wouldn't surprise me if Murdoch had some dirt on some of these politicians in the US as well. Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. And Trump. And Trump. It's like you could see, it's so clear. Lindsey Graham comes right to mind. you know, remember Lindsey Graham? If we support Trump, we are going to, we are going to be destroyed and it would be our fault. Remember that the whole thing with Lindsey Graham, and all of a sudden Lindsey Graham started licking Trump's boots. Oh yeah, totally. I'm sure he has goods on all of them. But again, you can have stuff on someone, but it's up to the person if they're gonna have, allow you to have the power over them using that stuff. You know, they can decide to say, come out and be like, okay, this is what he has, but I will not allow you to use me. I will not allow you to use that information to make me silent. Look all of the stuff that they have released. I mean, I think Prince Harry is one of the biggest example of this. Look at all the nasty stuff, and a lot of it lies too, that they've said about Prince Harry. Prince Harry could have been like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to say those things about me, or, leak, for example, all that stuff in Vegas and all that. I mean, think about the Nazi stuff and the Nazi uniform stuff. Prince Harry, he could have been where, like, even though he was young at the time, he could be like, okay, can we, pay for this or not, or whatever. Try to do deals with people to not let that stuff be. Think of something, you know. And he's like, Prince Harry is like, look, I'd rather I'd rather sit here and suffer the humiliation of whatever you want to release, but I will not allow you to bully me into silence. You can say whatever you want about me. You can lie, whatever, but you're not going to bully me into silence. I will come against you and I will speak out against you, you know? And some people are so afraid of what is, like the royal family are so afraid of what they have on them. And they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to die if this come out. I'm just going to die if they release the stuff about me, you know? And they would rather have a contract with the tabloids and be silent and let the tabloids destroy other people or whatever else and stay silent. And I would always appreciate Prince Harry, you know? And yes, a lot of the things that they've said about Prince Harry are lies. We know that. But some of it, for example, again, like, whatever is, say, Las Vegas or stuff like that, you could think of, oh my gosh, Prince Harry could have done a deal. It's like, when he flies private, oh my gosh, don't say anything. I don't want, because this might destroy my, travel list or whatever else I'm doing. Don't say anything. Let's have a deal. I'm going to give you some. Prince Harry could have done all of those things. But he's like, no, you could say whatever you want. If there are things I need to change in my life, I'll change. But I'm not gonna do a deal with you where you, or allow you to bully me, into doing a deal with you. And so, so that you can be silenced on what I do. And then I'm forever silenced on all the stuff you do. He refused to do that. And so for me, I just like, look, say away, whether it's lie or true, speak away. I'm not going to do a deal with you. I'm not going to go into bed with you. So, and that's why they hate Harry. That's why all of them hate Harry. And now also Meghan, because they refuse to get into bed with them. Let's see. Sylvia says, do you all remember Lou Rawls started putting blacks down, but before he passed, he was singing and chatting, sitting in the chatting circuits again. Also, Sammy Davis. I don't know. I mean, I know who that is in terms. I know the face, but I don't know anything about like what they did. It's a little bit before my time, so I don't know, or at least my time here in the U.S. So I don't know their history, and I didn't know they did these things. I Sammy Davis. Wow, I'm assuming Sammy Davis Jr. I didn't know that about them at all. Wow, very interesting. Very very interesting. Wow. I don't know why we do that. It's like we do stuff like this and really expect other people to lift. So it's like if you're gonna bring your people down, don't expect other people to lift them up, or lift you up. It's crazy. Um, Hilda's girl, she's talking to Dolores. She says, and most churches now are in favor of certain individuals. So sad. Not sure what you mean, but I'm assuming politically they side with different. Some churches are Republican. Why I don't understand why you think you're a church when you do stuff like this, but or certain churches align with the Democratic Party or certain churches align with Trump. We've seen that. It's craziness. Um, Sylvia, I think you're it today. I love when Harry told Michael Strahan he now see how black women are being treated after experience everything with his wife Megan. Yeah, it's hard to miss. It definitely is hard to miss. Let's see, scrolling all the way down. I guess Leslie F is no longer here, so that's okay. Again, if the link is in the chat if you want to call in and just speak for a bit. Um, let's see. Michelle says Pearl Bailey also put black folks down. She was a Republican and was upheld by Nixon in the party. Who is? I'm not sure. I don't know who this is. Um, so share, Michelle. And again, why do other races do this? Like I don't see other cultures do this like this. Like I don't see Jewish people do this. I don't see do other Puerto Ricans like or Latino people do, excuse me, not just Puerto Ricans, but other Latino cultures do this? Like or Italians do this where they just overtly put down their people in hopes that other people, other race just, lift up. Like I don't understand this. Why we do this? Why do we do this? Angela says that's why the UK needs to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. He was sacrificed by the media. I heard that about Jeremy Corbyn. I wasn't following the UK, what was going on in the UK when I think Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party. So I don't know all that happened, but I'm hearing little bits and pieces about what they did to him. And so you know, again, nothing is going to change with Keir Starmer. That's very much true. Nothing will change with him. And so, unless they, whether it's Jeremy Corbyn or somebody, what it seems like him, nothing is going to change. So he's like, you might as well keep the Tories because the Labour is not going to do anything, at least not in the way of progress away from the Tory mentality. I mean, again, you side with Rupert Murdoch. That just speaks to in volumes as to where you are. So yeah. Um, Michelle says Pearl Bailey was a famous black actress and singer in the 40s and 50s. Black folks in the 60s knew what she was all about. Oh wow. Okay. Guess we'll have to go look up Pearl Bailey and who she is and what she is about. That's interesting. I don't really know her. Interesting. Wow. Unbelievable. Sherry Ware says, she's talking to Connie, I agree. Candace O's upset the idiotic things she says. Unfortunately, I have family members who like to listen to her. Why so disappointed had to bite my tongue when they told me. Again, yeah, it, I'm telling you, social media has a, these people there. There's a, I guess in the U.S. especially, there is a audience for just about every belief. And it's so funny, again, talking about people who change their ideology, or change their convictions about things depending on what grift they've hit upon, and if it gives them an audience, and if they make money for it. Candace Owens, when she was young, I think something happened where she accused someone, and they took them to court about racism. She claimed that someone you know something happened, and it was racism, and they were racist towards her. And I think it became a court case. And this was the same Candace Owens today who would tell you flat in your face there is no racism in the UK, in the US. And yet this is the same Candace Owens who years ago, you know, she was charging someone with being racist towards her. And I think she took them to court or something. I don't know exactly what happened in there, because I was like, whenever I hear Candace Owens, my mind and brain turns off. But yeah, again, she was all up into that, and all of a sudden she's hit up on a grift, like, oh, being anti-black, being all about Republicans, and being there is no racism in the U.S. I have an audience for that. I could make money from that. I could do a podcast, and it could. Hello, you would never believe it's the same person. Unbelievable. But there are many people like the Candace Owens of the world. There are many, many people um, who just completely buy into that mentality, and they think by associating with that these people think differently of them, and it doesn't. I remember there's this woman in, I think it was Loose Women, where they had the South Asian woman. I want to say her name was Naima or something like that, and she was there. And I remember when Meghan and Harry just left the UK, and she had this screaming thing where it was like she was lost her mind, and screaming that it's Meghan that's the one that's causing division, that's Meghan who is racist, that is Meghan, by pointing out. And I think it was just after I want to say it was just after the Oprah Winfrey interview, I could be wrong, but she just had this, it was the South Asian lady that was on there, and that the UK is not racist, that the UK is not, that it's Meghan that's causing the problems, and that she's pulling the race card and all of this thing. I mean, she just had this almost like fit on the show. And the other lady, they were all white, and they're looking at her, and for that moment, this woman was sitting there defending the white race of the UK. And then all of a sudden, I didn't see her on the show anymore. And I didn't, people would post clips on it all the time. And I didn't see her for a while. And all of a sudden, I saw apparently she had left the show claiming racism towards her. And I had to laugh, because I was like, I thought there wasn't racism in the UK. But it's only racism when it's done towards her. But when it's, and that's the mentality a lot of times. And this is the thing, it's like, especially with some, I'm not saying not all are like this, but a lot of South Asian people, they don't consider themselves black at all. So they don't align themselves with black, brown, any of that stuff. They don't. Some of them don't. There's that adjacent to white, especially if they're on the lighter shade. It's more, they would align themselves with white. And so it was one of those things. And so it was just like a lot of them are very racist towards black people. Look at the British government right now, Suella Braverman. You have all of these people. The prime minister, they're all like that, and including some black people who are there. Kemi, there is no racism in the UK, not at all. It's just, hey, it's unbelievable. It's only racism when it's, towards them. Anybody else that's black and they call it out, oh no, you're just pulling the race card. Let's see. Compton Gallagher says Harry Belafonte was blackballed in America because he was a major contributor to the civil rights movement. I didn't realize he was blackballed in America. I again, a lot of the older entertainers, I don't know a whole lot of their stories, so I am literally just catching up to a lot of their stories, and so I didn't realize that he was blackballed in America. Wow, that is, oy, interesting. Madwell says, "But the divide started during slavery. I believe this is the divide and conquer. You know, they want to conquer. How best do you do it? You divide it. And so you have half of them going one way. They have, of course, they'll conquer. It's the same thing that we're happening now, where you saw Trump did it a lot. Saw him, Kanye and Ice Cube and all of those guys. Trump, or Republican, so they can get if they can get enough black people believing that these rappers or they somehow their leader. I don't know. Somehow it's like these rappers are like, we are the voice of the black. It's like, seriously? No. But if they can get enough, especially black men who follow these people, to follow them into the Republican Party, then they could come in and do all the things that they're doing now, especially on a local level. So unbelievable. Get them to believe in capitalism and all of those things. We're gonna make money, and that's the thing. Let's make money. It's all about money. Gwendolyn says the best one who talked about Candace Owen was David Chappelle. He was furious about what she said about George Floyd. I don't know what Candace Owens said about George Floyd. I think, again, I usually turn off when anything with Candace Owens. What did she say about George? Oh goodness, I'm afraid to hear. What I'm afraid to hear what she said about George Floyd. Oh goodness, grievances. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Unbelievable. Um, let's see. Uh, Gwendolyn says Tiger Woods said he wasn't black with his white wife, and look how it turned out for him. Another one. Yep. Tiger Wood. Well, Tiger Wood is black and Filipino, and he leans more to. I mean, neither is white. Both are black and brown, but he leans, to white. And yeah, as we can see by the relationships he has, and that's more where he leans to. And it's so funny. It's like the more whether he loses or the thing that he's never been the same since what happened with his first wife, and the more it's so funny in how he is reported is like in his heyday he was more reported on almost like a white person, and so the lesser he become or less successful is the blacker he's. It's like the reporting on him, he's like he's getting more black as his talent or his wins or whatever decreases. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's just yeah. Yes. And the thing is, look, people love who you love. You connect, your heart connects with who you connect with, and there's no right or wrong in that. But in a lot of ways, it's like, okay, even with that, it's like, have you been like really supporting the black community with your riches, with all of the thing? What have you done for the? And again, you don't have to, but again, when you're in those positions, if you really care about the community you're in, then you want to give back in some way, I would think, and I don't, and maybe he does with things that I just don't know, but I've never heard of him really a part of the black community in any way. He has black friends, obviously, with Serena and those guys, but again, they're all in the same, financial, I guess, level. So he is friends with them and stuff like that. But in terms of the regular black folks, I have not heard of him being a part of the community in any way. So, but again, he may not feel like, we are his people in any way. So, hey, hey, let's see. A few more before we end. Again, I will put there if anyone wants to call in and just say, hey, the chat there before we end. Anyone wants to come in and chat and say anything, that would be great. Um, but I'm so happy I get to chat with you guys. Because I haven't been able to. This is the end of, and again, because I haven't been on here in a while in the last couple of weeks. I started teaching again, so there's a lot of stuff I needed to do to prep for that. And so this is the end of the first week, and it was just boy, there was a lot of work to do with that. And so we start again tomorrow for the second week of my teaching teenagers. So they are fun, they're exciting to work with, and so scary as all heck because again they're teenagers, but they are really, really great kids. And so I'm really happy to be able to work with them and just see the great things we end up with after the our little summer program ends. So pray for me, I need it. So yes, let's see, a few more. Let's see. Sherry West says Rupert Murdoch better hope he and his org participated in the December 12, 2020 overthrow of the government meeting with Orange Guy. Jack Smith is going after everyone in that meeting. Yeah, he is definitely, he's definitely going after everyone. My thing with all of that is that, especially say with Trump, it's like yes, he's been indicted, every seemingly in every which way, but are those things gonna stick? Because I mean, I want to get my hopes up that somebody somewhere is going to pay for some of this mess that happened. But I'm not confident. I want to be confident, but I'm not confident that any of those things are going to stick, especially when it has to do with Trump and even Murdoch and all of. I mean, other than him paying the money so that he doesn't have to spill all the beans in court with say Dominion. We all hoped that Dominion would go to take it to trial and all the stuff exposed, but Dominion took the money and ran. And then all of our hopes was dropped with Rupert Murdoch. Yes, some stuff came out in Discovery. Like, for example, we knew that they knew what they were saying was a lie. We knew some of the conversations between Tucker Carlson and all of the others and Rupert, that they knew they were reporting false news. But there were so many other things that could have come out in Discovery and in a trial that everyone was hoping. And then Dominion took the money, and then the case was over. And it's just like, so even with this, with all of these indictments and stuff with Trump and all of that stuff, i I think too many people would be exposed if say Trump went to trial and all. Too many people, and I don't know that those people and they're higher up in government would want that. And you know I don't see this sticking at all. And I remember, and not that any of this will happen, but I remember even when, say, the Jeffrey Epstein case, when he was in jail, and so many stuff, we were thinking, oh, good. So all this stuff is going to come out now, and all this stuff. And then someone suicided him in jail. Or at least that's how it appears to me. They said it was a suicide, but it doesn't look like that to me. It looked more suicided. And so for me, a lot of too many people in power would have been taken down if all that stuff came out and with Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm kind of feeling the same way. So I don't think this whole thing with Trump, I don't think he's going to, anything is going to happen. I don't see it sticking. I could be wrong, but I think he knows too much, and I think too many people would be affected by this. And I'd love to believe that the government and the law would, trump, in lack of a better word, trump anything and trump everything. But I don't have confidence. I don't have confidence in that in it. I'd love to have confidence in the legal system in the US, but I don't, not now. And to know also too, a lot of judges while Trump was in office, he put a lot of judges in there, which I would believe was for reasons like for things like this. And so I mean, I love to believe that something would happen there, but I don't. I'd love to believe it, but I just can't. So with the I believe the same thing with Rupert Murdoch. I don't see, whatever happened, he'll be able to get out of it and pay a few $1 million and get out of it. So yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Bright Eyes PBJ says NAACP defended Candace Owens when she was a team. Shame on her. She won a case due to the NAACP. Shame on her. There you go. And again, if you don't do research on Candace Owens, you would never believe this was part of her history. And to hear Candace Owens speak now, you would believe she always had had this view of things, but when it benefited her, she used the NAACP. So yeah, I'm telling you, a lot of people now who are preaching things. A few years ago, they had a completely different, belief system, and now they've learned if I go this way, I make a lot of money. You see the same pattern with Megan. A lot of people who are claiming like, "Oh, I trust, I believe Megan," and all of this stuff. All of a sudden, they realize, "Oh, wait, you mean I can make more money by hating on her? Sure, let's do it. Let's do that. We'll make more money that way." A lot of US outlets doing the same thing now. So, yep. Let's see. Ooh, wow. Michelle says about Pearl Bailey. Yep, Gwendolyn. Yep. I found out how Pearl Bailey was really like last year. I've known about her my whole life. She came from a very messed up background, but she was talented yet ruthless. Ooh, goodness. I gotta go read up on Pearl Bailey. I don't know her. Goodness. Pedal, same thing happened to Stacey Dash. Now she wants to crawl back to the same black people who she denigrated on Fox News. Yeah. What happened to her? That woman is just all of a sudden. And if you remember her Stacey Dash from what was that? Legally Blonde. I used to love her in Legally Blonde. And all of a sudden she became this Fox News person, you know, with all this fake stuff, and all of a sudden Fox News fired her. So I didn't know she was trying to crawl back to black people. And again, same behavior. They hit upon a grift, and they get money for it, and they will turn on their own people. It's unbelievable. Chris Rock, another one. We remember Chris Rock is another. Constantly talking about black women and our hair. I mean, this man made a whole movie about black hair, reaping tons of money on using black people. And then what happened? Turn on black women. Look at what he did to Jada Pinkett. Look at what he did to Megan. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Before it was like, just like we talking about black hair and, really trying to help people to understand, but and using black women, making money off of us, and then, kick us to the curb. Let's see. Yep, exactly. Connie is also commenting on Chris Rock and his black hair. That's why I was such an advocate of Will Smith. I was like, he deserved that in more ways than one. Will, thank you very much. I was all in Will Smith's corner. Let's see. I heard Snoop Dogg is another Republican supporter. Like, I didn't know that about Snoop Dogg. I even like Snoop Dogg, especially wasn't Snoop Dogg and Martha. I always loved them. I didn't know Snoop Dogg was that. I hadn't paid attention to Snoop Dogg in a while. But wow, I didn't know that about Snoop Dogg. Lydia, how are you, Lydia? I didn't realize Lydia was here. Hi, how are you, Miss Lydia? Our awesome moderator. Hello. Um, let's see. Oh, but let's see. Evangeline says Stacey Dash got her black wake up call when she had an altercation with some friends and they called the police on her. Oh my goodness, I didn't know all this. I did not know all this. Oh my word! I'm telling you, some people, as someone said, I think was it you, Trishnali, who said that the mirrors are broken. Yeah, when you start making money, a lot of these black women and men, they start making money. That mirror gets broken, and they really forget to, and you haven't looked at yourself and you've only been looking at your money. You tend to forget who you are and how they actually see you, and then when anything happens they remind you in no uncertain term who you are. I would never forget ASAP Rocky Man being arrested in Europe, where whatever country he was in, they arrested him. All of a sudden, he was this black man in Europe in jail, and people are out here, including black people, advocating for him to come out. He come out, and I have never heard him say anything like he was saying before. I am just a DR model. I don't even think DR ever worked with him again. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anything with him and Dior again. I had never heard of him. Yes, of course he's Rihanna now, so I guess wherever they live. But on his own, I have not seen the same arrogant. I am a whatever. Don't lump me in with those black folks kind of behavior from him ever since that time. Remind him very clearly who he was. Um. Let's see. Let's see. So we're gonna look at a couple more before we. Oh my gosh, we've been chatting for 2 hours. I didn't even realize the time. Oops. But again, I have not said hi to you guys in a long time, so I'm gonna stay here. So I'm just like, you know, happy to just chat. Cookies and cream. Oh, she's talking to Sylvia. I'm so proud of Harry and proud of Harry. He is a vigilant warrior, husband and father. That's why I've watched the Harry and Meghan docu series 4 times over the week. Oh my goodness, I'm hooked. You go, Sylvia, hanging out with Harry and Meghan. I am so proud of them, for everything that they are doing and for fighting and not caving into the nonsense and for all the intimidation. So it's funny, like I saw a screenshot. Was it yesterday? I think with it where someone was saying that Megan needs to leave Harry for her career's sake, and it's just like, oh, so before it was Harry needs to leave Megan, or then again it was Harry and Megan need to break up, and now it's Harry Megan needs to leave for her career. So whatever it was, they just want these two apart. So the narrative again keeps changing. It is crazy. But I appreciate and love them so much for not allowing all that mess and really tuning it out so that they can have the kind of life that they want in the US. I'm so happy they're not on social media to see this nonsense and they don't have to deal with a lot of this nonsense. And indeed for me, I am definitely seeing a lot less of it. And I think more of the squad is they're posting less and less of this nonsense. So I see it less, and honestly, I blocked it and had to block a lot of people or mute a lot of people because it was overwhelming. And so this is the most of what I talked about here today, especially with the Sussexes, is pretty much all I have seen in the last 2 weeks and something. If there were anything else, I missed it. And I happily missed it. I think this is all I can take. Um, so yeah. Um, Wilson says when some start making money, they are falsely advised that being Republican will save them money from tax cuts. I think this that is definitely a part of it. That is definitely a part of it. It is a money thing, especially with the rappers. They really believe that they, one, their money is protected. They'll keep more of it, and they don't have to pay as much taxes. And they fully buy into the capitalism. They fully buy in. It's about money. The whole iced tea bit is about money. So, and they figure that black, especially black men, are more susceptible to that. Black men will accept their message a lot quicker than black women. And you've seen it in the way when you look at all the statistics for the votes. Black women literally has been holding up democracy in every poll for Democrats who are fighting for this country. Black women have been the ones that's been voting to hold democracy together. Like I literally yesterday just saw a breakdown of voting in Florida for Ron DeSantis. And black women voted, I think it was what, 90 something percent against him. And it was like 9% or something of black people voted for him. And it's the same thing across the board when voting for whether it's the president or whatever. Black women have been the ones voting for our democracy and voting Democrat and voting, and yet we are the one that is least, that get the least out of all of this. We are the ones that's easily overlooked in a lot of ways with all of this stuff. So yeah. um Sonia Johnson says, Hope's Garden, President Biden has put in more federal judges to date than any other president before him. He cannot put Supreme Court judges in. He only had one opportunity to do so with Ketanji Brown Jackson. I do have a question with that, and maybe, our legal people in here can not. Because I'm like, well, can't they expand it instead of having that same amount of judges? How about expanding it, getting more judges? Because when Trump was in office, Trump was able to put in all of those, and maybe that was within the amount that is normally there. But why can't they expand and have more people? Because right now, the how it's made up is the majority Republican leaning judges, and there was like only 4 Democrat leaning judges. So we having all of these overturns because of especially the ones that Trump put in there. Why don't we have more people be be judges, be Supreme Court judges? Why can't they just open it up? And for me, this whole lifetime thing that they have there, this lifetime tenure, is ridiculous. There's a whole generation of kids that are gonna have to pay for the decisions of this right-wing leading Supreme Court judge. And so for me, is it an impossibility that they can expand it and have more judges where Joe Biden can, get more people on the Supreme Court? I mean, I know that it's going to be a hard sell in terms of, because the Senate has to approve it, and now they're like, we still have to deal with what is it, the senator from Virginia, and and I think one of them now decided she doesn't want to be Democrat anymore, so now she's an independent. So it's gonna be it's gonna be hard to do. But I mean, if he can, is it impossible that Joe Biden could increase it so it's beyond the limit, the limited number that it is now, where they can have more of a balance of Democrat and Republicans there, so that it's not so right leaning? Because I'd hate for a whole generation of kids to have to put up with this. And again, another question: is there a way to overturn these lifetime terms? This lifetime term, I mean, gosh, how many generations have to put up with the Clarence Thomases or the Neil Garushas or the Amy Barrett, whatever her name is, and the rest of them that Trump put in there? How many, and the crazy of Georgia Lee? I mean, how many people, how many generations have to put up with that? So am I completely wrong? I mean, I'm not a legal person, but so I don't understand why that can't change, and why this isn't talked about more, say from even the Biden administration now, why they're not talking about balancing out the court and getting rid of the lifetime term. I mean, I should think that is should be on the agenda. If I was in government, that's what I'd be doing. So I don't know, maybe I'm completely off base, but I don't think anything is an impossibility. They can expand it, I would think. Um, let's see. Little Max says, Pedal expanding the Supreme Court would require an act of Congress. Oh, and the Republicans are they have the majority there, don't they? Oops. It would require an act of Congress, and you see how well Biden is able to get done with Christine and Joe M. Okay. Okay, so I guess if the Democrats win back Congress, that could something that can go, and if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris win back another term, so I goodness grievances. Oh, okay. Well, I guess this I mean, should this then behoove Democrats in government to really go after winning the Senate and winning the and taking back Congress? Because again, for me, I don't understand, I I simply can't understand, for example, Margaret Taylor, what's her name, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and all these people. I don't even understand how you vote for these people and have them in Congress. It makes no sense to me, but here we are. So I guess the Democrats will have to take back the Congress in order for them to, have the. Oh goodness, oh, we're a mess. We're a mess. Compton Gali Gali saying it, yes, them need to control the House and the Senate to add judges. And so we have the Senate just by our fingertips, and obviously we lost the House. Oh, Lord. um, Vanzola said that doesn't make sense. The expansion can become bamboozled. Integrity is what is needed. Well, right now there's no integrity, so I mean, and there's not going to be any with where we are now. So, do we live with this for the rest of our lives, or really hope that the Democrats take the Senate by more than what it is now, and take back the House? I mean, that would be where I'd go. Really focus on getting back the House and the Senate, and then expand the jury pool, because the judges, the Supreme Court judges, because where it is now, I mean, what else are gonna go after? I mean, they just took out affirmative action. They took out Roe versus Wade. I mean, what else are they coming after? Look at. I shudder to think, because again, a lot of the majority are right leaning. So whatever Trump wanted, basically, is what they're giving us now. Whatever the right wing party wants is what they're giving us now. A lot of them, even are associated with right wing organizations. I mean, and now they're even more blatantly doing it in the open. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. We only have 4 judges who are thinking, more say you would want all of them to be in the middle, but the reality is that they're not. So we either live with what it is now, with them constantly stripping away rights and stuff that we had, or privileges that we had, whatever. You can live with that now, or realize it's not working and try something else. Right now, this isn't working. It is not working. Because notice when they stripped away, for example, affirmative action, they didn't go after the one that benefits the white kids in colleges. They didn't go after whatever. I don't even remember what the name is, and I only just learned. I didn't even realize that was a thing until they stripped away affirmative action. I didn't realize that the majority, like a lot of white kids, especially from rich white families who may have donated to colleges, they get into colleges in pretty much the same way. And notice they didn't go after that. They went after the one that, benefits some Black people. And crazily enough, apparently, in a lot of ways, white women benefited more from affirmative action than even the black and brown people that they claim are really the recipients of it. But they didn't go after the one that benefits the white kids and the rich kids, the rich, especially rich white kids. Why didn't they go after that one? So now, I think an organization, a human rights or civil rights organization, is now suing Harvard over over that privilege that they have, that when they are bringing in rich white kids, how they bring in rich white kids to Harvard. So they are now being sued to, I guess, to get rid of that. Because if you're going to take something away that helps black and brown people to sort of level the playing field, then you're going to have to go after that one too. But notice not many people are talking about that one, because then it affects rich white people, which is again brings us back to the same, even back to Rupert Murdoch. If something is benefiting them, they will never take it out and they won't go after it. So yeah. Um Legacy, yes. Yes. Yeah, they are now going after the legacy administration. Yeah, exactly. That's the name of it. It's funny. I never heard of that before this. I didn't even know that was a thing. That there's this legacy thing that they would do with colleges, how they would bring in rich white kids because their family are rich, and the majority white, rich white family. Like, I did not know this until they took away affirmative action. I had no idea. The only thing I knew was what was it, a couple of years ago, where there are a couple of celebrities who, one of whom I think, or a couple of them spent, women. It's so funny that the women spend time in jail, and I don't even know that the men did. But a couple of actresses tried to, or got their kids into good colleges on some fake scholarships and stuff. And a couple of the mothers, Lori Loring and another actress, actually ended up spending time in jail because of this fake thing. And that's the only thing I knew. I'd never heard of this legacy thing before. And I was like, are you serious? And so now I think it was a civil rights organization, have now gone after Harvard for this exact same thing. They're like, well, if you're going to take affirmative action, then we're going to go after this. And so it'll be interesting to see when this case comes up, if the courts are going to take away this as well. So it'll be very interesting. I would dare to say no, because their rich white friends are going to be, affected by this. So it'll be very interesting. So yeah. Oh, one of us believes in Nostradamus, but Michelle says, but Nostradamus says in 2023 things will get worse before they got better. So we are seeing the worst. I have faith in our democracy to set all things right. That's great. I mean, I'm not here, I'm not all into those Nostradamus and all that stuff. But I mean, it does look like it is getting worse. So I am hoping, as you are, that and have faith that things can get better. But things are not going to get better by themselves. We have to advocate for the better that we want. We have to start speaking up and taking actions. And when we see stuff like this, speaking out, forming groups, protesting, however, voting, all the things that we need to do to advocate for the better. Because if we're not doing anything and not saying anything, then it's not going to get better. It's just going to keep getting worse. So faith and action, I think, has to come together. Without action, there's no faith. We have to do something that we believe in to bring the better that we want to see. And I think that behooves all of us to do that, because hello. Vanjie is like, legacy kids and buying the college a building to get your kids into college is the AA they kept. Yeah, that's the thing. You have all these rich people's names on buildings and colleges, and then that's like a pass for their kids to get into college. And it's just like, whether the kids deserve to be there. And a lot of times the kids don't even want to be there, but daddy's or grandpa's name is on the building, so I get a pass into Harvard or whatever. They need to take that out. so that it's a level playing field, because there are so many kids who don't have that money, or family doesn't have that money to put their names on a building, that are probably most, a lot of them even more, much more talented, educated, whatever. And a lot of these rich kids get in, and some of them don't even want to be there, but they take opportunity away from people, who may not necessarily have that money, who deserve to go to those colleges and have a good education. They take that opportunity away from them. And so that's why affirmative action was good. And so many people, including Clarence Thomas, by the way, who benefited, the reason how Clarence Thomas got where he is, because affirmative action helped him get there. And what has he done? He got there and closed the door and kicked it, locked it, padlocked it for other people getting in. It is unbelievable. Anyways, let's see. Pedal Day will go after Social Security, Medicare, and Obamacare, as it is called. Exactly. Well, they were already going after Obamacare, and then realized, like, oh, wait a minute, I benefit from Obamacare. Of course they're going to go after it. And a lot of people who are attacking, Democrats, and, oh, those wokies, whatever, they will only speak up when it, like now they're in Florida crying about, the alimony checks. Yeah, those very same people are going to be crying about when they realize their Social Security will be impacted by it. But until that happens, they'll keep voting as they did, so yeah. Um, I didn't mean for this to all be political. All of a sudden, we're just all politics. Let's see. Um, Hope's Garden says the president starts the process and Congress carries out his selection, praying the Democrats win both houses next election. This will make easier for him to be successful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope that this is on their radar and this is something that they will go after, because again, where, especially with the courts, I mean, where it is right now, it just, I mean, every single right that Americans enjoy will be out by some crazy person who thinks, affirmative action only benefit woke black people, you know, and then only to realize, oh wait, I have the law on my side, and now the Supreme Court voted for me, but now I'm affected by it. So all of us will suffer because of them, where it is now. It's just, yeah, I hope they're gonna do something, expand the court, do something. And I know not everybody agree with that, but again, you know, Little Max says, Pedal, don't forget the scandals from a couple of years ago. The rich kids got into school by cheating. That's how Aunt Becky yes, that's what I was talking about, Lori Loring. Aunt Becky from Full House went to jail. Yes, exactly. She went to jail because of this. And this other actress, I want to say she was from the the Housewives or something? There was a show about housewives. I think she was one of the actresses. I could be wrong. But anyways, yeah, she went to jail for buying her way into into her kids' way into scholarship. It was a very embarrassing thing for their family. She and her husband paid this money to some person, I don't really know, who and bought scholarships, and then it was illegal. Again, I didn't even know that was a thing until all that stuff happened. I had no idea, and it was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, unbelievable. But the black people. So anyway, H9 says black people as a whole need to work together for the same common goal and stop working against each other. We are all tied together. Yep, we have to advocate for each other. We don't have other advocates. It's gonna be us, especially women, black women. Like, we are our own advocates. We are the only ones who really advocate for us. So we literally have to work together. And so yeah. And not everybody's gonna come. I mean, they're all gonna be the Candace Owens of the world. It's like gonna just like, okay, you stay over there and do what you do, but the rest of the us gonna have to work together. According to Cherryware says, according to Clarence Thomas, he pulled himself up by his own bootstraps. He doesn't recognize the affirmative action helped him to get where he is today. I'm telling you, again, broken mirror. Broken mirror. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And don't be surprised, you see all this stuff coming out with Clarence Thomas, as all these things that he, all these benefits he's been getting from this some rich person who has been, took him on his family on vacations and put his son, got his son into paid for his son's scholarship, paid for his mother's house. I mean, from the reports that were coming out, it's like he is bought and paid for by this guy. Even the guy even got a house for his mother, Talonstone's mother. And it's just like, this is a judge. This is a and it turns out he's not the only one who's accepted all of these, big gifts from, especially right-wing contributors. It's just like, so that's, for me, is like, I can't trust the system here. I mean, I can't trust that. So that's why, for me, it makes sense to open up and expand the Supreme Court Supreme Court pool, because this is these are the people that are stripping, so many, especially women, of their rights. And so we can't have that. Venzola says Joe Manchin is a wolf in sheep clothing. He doesn't even have sheep clothing. He's just a wolf. There is no sheep clothing. If there was, that just went away a long time ago. He's a flat out wolf and a lion and everything else. For me, he's just a Democrat in name only. And there are a few of them like that. I mean, yeah, he's a Republican. So, and these people are, a lot of them, it's like they're worst, and they are in some of the poorest states who take the most federal. You think in terms of Kentucky and all of, it's like they take the most money from the government, yet are the ones that are like trying to. It's just like, but you take the most money. You have the poorest state. You rely on more money than any other state. And it's unbelievable, and yet people still are voting for them every year. Unbelievable. But anyway, guys, Lady T says, she's talking to Sylvia, but Justice Brown, Ketanji Brown, called him out good, though, hurt his feelings. I'm telling you, we need more people like Judge Brown. We need Brown Jackson. We need, or should I say Justice Brown Jackson? We need more people like her. And Sonia Sotomayor. I mean, again, Black and brown women in there. We need a bigger pool of, what we have now is just, no. And you hate to think that, these people are bought, but then when you see them accepting these gifts and all of this stuff, and they're like, but it's legal. It's just like, you shouldn't be accepting it, because when you accept that, it's like, can you rule against these people though when you accept their money? You can't, So yeah, I don't understand it. Let's see. Felicity Huffman. Yes, she's the actress. Husband stars in Shameless. Yeah, she's the other actress that she went to prison because she bought scholarship for her kid. And so she and Aunt Becky from Full House, Lori Loring, they were in they went to jail for that. She was in Housewives. Desperate. Thanks, Terry. Desperate Housewives. That's what she was in. There you go. I knew it was a Housewives something. I'm sorry, I don't watch TV, so I sometimes I don't remember fully the names of the shows. So yeah, she was in Desperate Housewives, and so they both went to jail because of buying scholarships. Again, poor people can't do stuff like this because we don't have money for that sort of thing. Poor people can, hopefully the affirmative action is able to help them to get their very talented, educated kids to have a same, advantages as the rich white kids who can buy their way into college or have the, benefit from the legacy program. They take it away, so the black and brown kids who can't afford it don't have a way to get into the Harvards, or because they are from a state, say in Mississippi, or as Joy Reid was saying, how affirmative action helped her. She had the grades, she had all of it, but she's from this small town in Colorado that nobody has heard from. Even though she was as talented as she was, it was because of affirmative action that got her noticed and got her Harvard calling her to come to Harvard. It's not that she didn't go into Harvard, oh, she didn't have the grades, or she had the grades. She was just in a place where she wasn't noticed. And look at where Joy Reid is today. Worked hard, and there she is. She got her stuff from Harvard, and now she is on, she's working, and she is a incredible report journalist at MSNBC. But she's as talented as the others. She just didn't have the means and the opportunity because of where she's from and where she lived, and her poverty level. All affirmative action was doing was leveling the playing field. And then, and we know very well, black and brown people, we have to work sometimes 10 times as harder as white kids to get the same attention and to get the same acknowledgement. We don't go into college, at least the majority of us don't go into college when you have when you have grants, or you have scholarship and stuff like that. The majority of kids who go into that know what's happening, know they got to work hard and work harder than the rest to get to where they need to get to. So it just, so this idea of black kids just getting a handout, or black and brown people just getting a handout into colleges that they don't qualify for, is nonsense. Is nonsense. So anyways, that's it, guys. Again, I didn't mean for it to be political or, legal stuff. But it's good to have these conversations because it's what's going on in the world. It is what's going on, and I think sometimes we just need to chat about them. Vanjie says Lori Loring was arrogant and unapologetic, while Felicity apologized for what she did. Oh, okay. I didn't keep following the story, so I didn't know what their responses were. Very interesting. You would think Aunt Becky would be different, right? Because of how you at least how I perceive her on television. I didn't realize she was arrogant and unapologetic. Very interesting. Very, very interesting to see that. Um, it would be interesting to see how long they both were in jail for. Compton Gallagher says Kristen Semina. Oh, she's the one I think who's now an independent. Yeah, Kristen Semina is a two-faced backstabber who's voting with Republicans and changed from Democrat to independent. Yeah. She came in as a Democrat, got voted in as a Democrat, then completely turned her back on the Democrats and now decided to be an independent. She was voting all along with the Republicans. She was never, from what it looks like, never a Democrat. I believe, I don't understand why they haven't recalled her. They didn't recall her, because for me, that's just a lie. You lied to your constituents that you were one thing. You got nominated as a Democrat and then decided to vote in every way in the face of the people who voted for you and vote Republican, and then decide to change from Democrat to independent. It is just, and I know doing recalls and stuff like that is very, very expensive. So maybe that's why they haven't recalled her. But it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Let's see. Little Max said, oh, she's talking to Cookies and Cream. That is why Trump was put into office, to get judges into lifetime positions, to destroy the progress and negate elections. McConnell knows they cannot win elections without rigged courts. I don't doubt this for a second. I don't doubt this. When you see the things that they have been doing, I don't doubt it at all. I don't doubt any of this. So yeah. And K Knight said, H Knight says Joe Manchin is from West Virginia, with which has the third most people on welfare. Yeah, Virginia is one of the poorest states. It has one of the poorest towns in the United States. Yeah, it is just like, yeah, and and this man votes Republican most of the times. It's unbelievable. I remember when they were trying to vote and pass paid leave for all, to give families paid leave, if you had a child, if you have a sick relative. Yeah, the big holdup, Joe Manchin. Yep, unbelievable. Um, Sonia says, but I'm just afraid that if you open the door of expanding the Supreme Court, then it also opens the door for other things which we may not want to be expanding. Like what, Sonia? I mean, I know that there is a danger in everything. When you change precedents like this, there is a danger in everything. But are we willing to be afraid of changing things and keeping things as is and letting generations of people have to live with the consequences of the Neil Garouche and the Amy Barretts and the Joe Alitos and the Clarence? Do we want generations of people to live with these consequences, or take a chance expanding it and see what else is there? I mean, I know there's a danger. Whoever else come into president could be like, well, if you can expand it, I can expand it, and it's a never ending thing. So it is kind of a thing that we have to balance, you know. So I look, I understand. It's just stuff that I think of, and I'm like, what is happening is not working. Obviously not working. So yeah. Um, but anyway, guys, that is it. We are up on almost 3 hours of chatting. It has been a blast just chatting with you about things very little royal, most about what's going on. But again, it's good to talk about these things. I mean, it's stuff that I think about, as I live here in the US. It's stuff that is happening. And I think it's necessary that we talk and share about it. Even, our faves are doing whatever they're doing. They're quiet and peaceful. So we can just let them rest. And there are so many other things going on in the world that we can chat about, right, wrong, just share our thoughts and feelings about it, however we want to. And I think that's okay too. And it, right now it's summer and our faves are again doing whatever they're doing, and we just sometimes just want to leave them in peace. And so I think it's great to just leave them in peace and share and talk about other things that's happening that actually impacts all of us. Whatever is going on in the Sussex's life, most of it is, we don't get to be a part of in terms of, the immediacy of it. We love them and we talk about it and we celebrate with them, but we don't get the benefits of them. And a lot of it doesn't affect us in any way other than the fact that we support and defend them, but stuff like this, what's going on in our government, going on locally in our communities, in our cities and stuff, that directly affects us in a very, very real way. And right now in a really bad way. And so this is stuff that probably even more than we talk about the Sussexes that we need to talk about. So that way, some of us who are not up on it can be up on it, and we can learn from each other and be alert, even more woke, shall we say, even though we know the right wing, they love to say, you're so woke. We can be more woke, to what's going on in our community so that we can make changes and so that we can vote for the people that we want to vote for. And that we should be putting into offices to make sure that our rights and stuff are not taken away. So it was great chatting with you guys, and hopefully in the next day or so I can do another one of these. Start my week again, start back with the kids tomorrow. So we'll see how crazy we are with that, and I will keep posting little videos for with our faves, and keep our fingers crossed for whatever fantastic things that they want to put out next. We are of course looking forward to Heart of Invictus, and also Suits. If you haven't watched it, is there, and we can chat about Suits as well. So I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, rest of the day, and it's been great chatting with you guys. And I love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.